I was going down from the mountain, just in awe at what just happened to me. And the voice comes. He says, my son, go get our bike.
That's right. This guy is crying as he recounts Jesus telling him to go buy a new BMW motorcycle.
So come forth, step into your destiny now, saith the Lord.
Love the stick, right? That is a badass fucking stick.
I want to say this. If you're one of those and you're saying that the prophets are wrong and that you're right, would you do me a favor? Would you go on video and go on record? Put your hand on your Bible.
I'm on video and record. Okay, I'm down. Let's do this shit. I didn't own a Bible. I had to buy one specially for this occasion.
Our president is legitimate, and his name is Donald Trump. I'm just going to say it.
Oh my God. Please. This is the cringiest shit ever. Chem Panda, is Kat Kerr wearing the Star Trek badge because she's a total space cadet? Oh my God, she is wearing some kind of a badge that looks like the Star Trek badge. Holy shit, dude, I didn't even notice. Her outfit is camouflage and says Commander Cat on it. No fucking joke.
I pray for this man. Lord, I pray you take the smell of smoke, the disappointment, the bitterness, the anger, the feeling of betrayal and loss. It must be a terrible thing, Lord, to actually feel as though you've been stolen an election.
This guy is literally praying over a cardboard cutout of Donald Trump in January 2022, a year after the dude left office.
And I'm praying now also. I'm seeing something great happen with the fellow whose show is right before mine on Saturday, Steve Bannon. I see God doing a work in him. I want you guys to pray.
Nobody was beat on like that, like our president, for 4 years. Nobody.
Nobody? Not one person? I mean, have you read about 1940s Germany? Do you know anything about that?
And God only endorses what he legally sets up that we put our agreement to.
Okay, so this whole time I've been thinking that God could just snap his fingers and make Trump president just like that, but now I understand that God needed to come down to earth to campaign for Donald Trump if he wanted him to win. That's my mistake.
BLM is demons! And you tell them I said so.
Okay, I will. I don't think anybody in Black Lives Matter gives a shit if you think they're demons.
But I'm asking you, Lord. I'm asking. I just found a flag here. I didn't know.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're looking around at your stuff while you're saying a prayer. What is wrong with you? Get back to God. He's waiting. He had a golden fucking statue built of himself. A golden statue. How much more on the nose can it get? That is some weird shit. But saying something that's racist means you will most likely face social consequences for that. That's just what it is. I'm sorry, this is not funny. This is sad. This is really sad. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you guys for coming. How's it going? As you can see, I've moved. I'm not completely moved in yet. I just want to get this out of the way. There is a bad echo. I can tell that it's terrible. I'm sorry. There's not a lot I can do because not all my stuff is moved in yet. So this room is just like terribly echoey. I figure it'll be okay for one podcast episode. Also, I had to turn the air conditioner off. There's an air conditioner in here, but you know, I opened the windows a little bit. Hopefully you don't hear the traffic or anything too badly. I know that it will probably get picked up on the mic as I go along, just a little bit. Hopefully there aren't too many sirens. If there are, I'll shut the windows. But anyways, yeah, so this is my new apartment. I'll tell you what, I can show you guys actually. Hang on, let's see. I can just turn it a little bit. See, this is the place. And there's my camera. See my camera? It's kind of blocking the view, but see. Yeah, my monitor's blocking the view too, see? But there's the kitchen and the little bar area, the couch and a chair and my window. I'm not going to show my window because I don't want anyone to kind of triangulate my location or anything, but anyways, yeah, this is the new place. Let me fix this. God, I shouldn't have messed with the camera, because getting it precise is not easy. Just a little more. Okay, I think that'll do. Anyway, so yeah, this is the new place. So happy to be here. My old apartment didn't have a window in the living room, and it was actually really hard to deal with not ever seeing the sky, not knowing if it was day or night while I was working, you know. Could work for 16 hours straight and not know if it was day or night. It's really difficult to live in an apartment with no window. But like I said, this place has a window, and that's nice. So anyway, and I'll tell you what. Oh, and one more thing. I have treats for the kitties. I got treats since I moved into the new place. So hopefully we can give the kitties some treats in a little while. And I'll tell you what. Why don't we... Let's see... let me read my transitions real quick for my for editing purposes. In this podcast, we're going to talk about Kat Kerr nonsensically saying God gave her divine revelation that Trump wouldn't take the presidency in 2020. Josh Feuerstein's descent into madness. One of QAnon's star members, Pastor Jackson LaMayer, running for Congress and getting some crazy endorsements. Why televangelists seem to be convinced the Constitution was written by Jesus. We also take voicemails. If you want to leave a voicemail, the number is 1-800-701-8573. If you want to send an email instead, the email address is telltalemailbag@gmail.com. All right, let me read it. Let me read them a second time for editing purposes. Next, we're going to talk about Kat Kerr nonsensically saying that God gave her divine revelation that Trump wouldn't take the presidency in 2020. Next, we're going to talk about Josh Feuerstein's descent into madness. Next, we're going to talk about one of QAnon's star members, Pastor Jackson LaMayer, running for Congress and getting some crazy endorsements. Next, we're going to talk about why televangelists seem to be convinced the Constitution was written by Jesus. Okay, that should be good. Sweet. All right. With all that being said, let me switch screens. Where the fuck is the... where the heck? God, I gotta stop swearing. Okay, here we go. Switch screens. And actually, I'm going to raise my camera just a hair. Hang on. Okay, I think that'll do. Perfect. All right. Just take a look at Super Chats real fast. Jim Adelberg, thanks for keeping an eye on these extremists for us. Of course, thank you for coming and listening. I appreciate that. Stand with Ukraine, thank you so much for the sticker. Critical hit, that's awesome. Lord Falconis, trust me, we don't even hear the echo. I don't. That's true, but the audio coming through to you guys is compressed because it's coming through a live stream with a 15-second delay or something like that. So the audio quality that you guys are getting is not very good because it's being compressed like that. And it may kind of cut down on how much you can tell the echo is there. But I'm recording everything that comes through this microphone directly without compression. And as a result, when I edit this, the echo will be picked up because it's higher quality. It's going to sound like shit probably, but that's okay. I think we can make it through a single week with an echo, and hopefully on Thursday it'll be a lot better. Anyway. Okay. All right. Let me reset my cameras for editing purposes. Sweet. Oh yeah, I'm getting a new green screen too. I have one back there. In fact, that right there, that's a green screen. That right there is a green screen that you're looking at, but it's not wide enough, so I need to get a second one that I can set up next to each other so that it's wide enough to capture both camera angles. I'm not sure I'm even going to use a green screen. I'm not really sure. We'll see. Anyway. I'm hearing honking. Maybe I should close the windows if it's going to be a problem. At least I don't hear hallway people anymore. You guys remember me having to pause because there were people in the hallway? Well, this hallway is carpeted, and there's an elevator at the end, so I don't have to worry about hallway people anymore. Okay. I'm stalling. All right. First story I wanted to talk about is about Kat Kerr. I've talked about Kat Kerr a few times, but it's been a while, so I want to give you guys a little bit of lead up to remind you of who she is and remind you of her beliefs, and then we're going to talk about a new clip that just came out by Kat Kerr. So if you don't know who Kat Kerr is, you may remember this video. This video came out in August 2019. It came out when Hurricane Dorian was about to hit the East Coast, and it was a big deal, and everybody was worried about what was going to happen. Kat Kerr, weather warrior, decided to take God's blessing and bestow it upon people in August 2019. Watch this clip.
So right now, at this moment, we take authority over Dorian that has no right off the coast of this state or anywhere. And we hit that storm to the east right now. And I'm going to do it 3 times. We hit it to the east.
Yeah, that's Kat Kerr. She believed that God gave her the power, the ability to stop a hurricane from plowing into the East Coast. Did it work? Of course it didn't work. She's a charlatan. And for some reason, she's obsessed with what this little stick can do. This stick that she holds. She swings it around like mad. And to my knowledge, it's never actually accomplished anything. This isn't even the first or the last time she tried to do this little weather warrior shtick, if you will. She did this, she's done this weather warrior thing like a billion different times to every hurricane, every tornado that appears. And guess what? It doesn't work because it's nonsense. It's not even biblical. But once again, she is a televangelist, and she is pretty famous. She's been memed a billion times. That's why we have to talk about her. Just real fast, I want to check and make sure you guys can hear Kat Kerr in both ears, right? Anybody listening with headphones, it's not coming through just one headphone, is it? I'll come back to this because there's a 15-second delay between when the words come out and when they hit your ears. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear it okay, because I had to break my studio down completely, about a 4 or 5 hour job, and then rebuild it, at least an 8-hour job, and it was a nightmare. So I just don't know if I got all the settings correct. You guys can hear it in both ears. Okay, good. Okay, good. Awesome. Thanks. So, okay. Anyways, that's Kat Kerr, weather warrior. That's not the only strange belief that she has, though. The idea that she has the ability to control the weather with this little stick that she has. She's also a QAnoner. I wanted to establish this by watching a couple of clips that she's put out. This one is a little more recent, early February 2022. She was speaking at Glory Fire Church. She was doing this event there, and she had some interesting things to say. For the record, what you're about to hear from Kat Kerr is really unhinged and odd, but it's actually on brand. This is the kind of thing that she says and does on a regular basis. So yes, it's strange, but it's not out of the ordinary. My mouse isn't working. Is the battery dead? God, I hope not, because I don't think I have any batteries here. That would suck. Connection lost. Okay, reconnected. Sweet. All right. Anyways, let's watch this clip, early February 2022. Think about what she has to say here.
And so people do still share their testimonies. They have events all over heaven in these huge places, some inside, some outside. People want to really hear the testimony of the life of somebody who was here on earth. And when somebody new arrives, everybody wants to hear them.
She's talking about when somebody goes to heaven. When somebody new arrives in heaven, everybody in heaven wants to hear their story, their testimony, or whatever. She has a tendency to, like, expand upon this really weird worldview that she has, this weird idea of what heaven is. And she says it in such a matter-of-fact way. Like, this is a fact. Like, I've been to heaven. I have touched God's hair. He let me take pictures of him and paint him and stuff. I mean, she's gone as far as to say things like there is a body part requisition warehouse in heaven where when somebody prays for like a missing limb, like a missing arm or leg or something, an angel, sorry, there's an angel at this body part requisition warehouse. This angel that works there for a living, apparently, finds the bucket full of arms or eyes or hearts, gift wraps it, and then walks through you and it replaces the old broken heart, or just the new arm appears on your body or whatever. No joke. She says this, and she believes it. This is on brand for Kat Kerr. Let's keep listening.
They do. They want to hear what it was like. How did they feel when they stepped out of that physical body with their spiritual body into life itself, into the presence of God, and then their journey, all the way, I've been speaking a lot, all the way back to heaven from Earth. You get to go on a journey. You go through the planets, the nebulas. You go on the rings of Saturn, not the real Saturn, not the fake one that
Whoa, wait a second. Fake Saturn. What are we talking about here? What's all this? That's weird, right?
Of Saturn, not the real Saturn, not the fake one that Satan's made.
Okay, what is she talking about? The real Saturn, not the fake one that Satan's made. What? What is she saying? Well, I was wondering what she was talking about. Do you guys remember the QAnon shaman from forever ago? January 6th, 2021, when they raided the Capitol building, there was that guy named the QAnon shaman. This is a picture of him on the left if you're watching the actual video clip. QAnon shaman was all dressed up with like this headdress and, you know, the face paint, the horns, the whole 9 yards. This guy's name is Jacob Chansley, a.k.a. Jacob Angeli. Angeli, I believe, is his middle name. Sometimes I think he prefers to go by Jake Angeli. I don't know why, but anyways, that's who this guy is. So I was listening to this interview that Channel 5 News did with him on YouTube, and he mentioned Saturn too. So I wanted to listen to his little bit about Saturn, like the planet Saturn, because it gives us some context for this Kat Kerr clip where she talked about the planet Saturn being fake. So QAnon shaman is obviously QAnon, and that means he can give us some insight into the QAnon view on the planet Saturn. Let's listen to this.
There's another faction within the ancient Egyptian hierarchy, and that would be like the people that worship Set. And Set is like the ancient Egyptian form of Satan. Okay, so Satan worship and Saturn worship are one and the same thing. And so there was this ancient form of Saturn worship in ancient Egypt, where what they would do is, instead of consuming large amounts of psychoactive plants, which they did do on occasion, but what they did more than anything is they used things like, say, Hebrew children or children of slaves to do these satanic ceremonies of blood sacrifice.
Okay, so sorry. So Saturn is Satan. They are one and the same in the mind of a QAnoner. Saturn and Satan are the same. And what he's talking about here, the blood sacrifice stuff, this all ties in together. It's old tropes back from World War II. It's old Jewish tropes, the same stuff that the Nazi Party was saying about Jews, except now they're saying it about elites. The eternal scapegoat of the world, the Jewish people, unfortunately, are being attacked once again in society. We have to call this stuff out when we see it, for real. But the point is, the QAnon shaman is a full-blown QAnoner, and that added a little bit of context. That added a little bit of context, hopefully, to the Saturn claims that Kat Kerr gave us just a few minutes ago. Let's see. Hang on. Let me see which clip is next. Okay, yeah. Right. Okay. there's another QAnon belief about how Trump was supposed to be reinstated as president or reinaugurated as president in early March. Okay. The idea here is the QAnoners claim that, oh my God, this is such a complicated subject. I'm trying to think about how to simplify it. QAnoners believe that when the Civil War ended and the Confederacy rejoined with the Union to create, you know, the United States government again, they believe incorrectly that the government, when it formed again, it formed through a corporation, and that the real, actual U.S. government hasn't had a new president since before the Civil War ended. They believe that everything that has happened with the U.S. government, every decision that the U.S. government has made since the end of the Civil War is null and void and invalidated because it was all done under the name of the United States of America, the corporation, not the government. It's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense at all, logistically or legally or anything else. It's just complete BS from top to bottom. But that's what they believe. So here's where it gets interesting. The idea is that, wait, let me try to rephrase this. Inauguration day for the president used to be March 4th in the Constitution, but that was changed to January 20th back in the 1920s, I think. I forget when exactly. So they believe, these QAnoners, they think that March 3rd is actually really the real inauguration date, and they believed that Donald Trump was going to be reinaugurated by the real United States government. He's going to be like the 19th president or something like that. Instead of like the 46th, he's going to be the 19th because they're reinaugurating him under the actual United States government. And every QAnon televangelist, every QAnoner with a platform out there was making this prophecy, not prediction, but prophecy, that Donald Trump is going to be reinstated as president on March 4th. And Kat Kerr was not immune to this phenomenon. God, there are cars honking outside. Maybe I should shut the window. I think it stopped. Kat Kerr was not immune to this phenomenon. So this is early March 2021. Kat Kerr in this video is about to fully establish herself as a QAnoner, in my opinion, by espousing this conspiracy theory about the United States government actually being a corporation and all of their decisions since the end of the Civil War being invalidated. Listen to this clip, early March 2021.
Right now, I declare and I call forth our president to take his rightful place, Trump, to come forth right now.
Give me a second. Actually, there's some ambulances outside. Let me shut the windows. It was kind of hot in here, but I'm going to shut them anyway. 1 second. That's better. God, there's one more problem with this new place is that every time I stand up, I get shocked with static electricity. I need to get a humidifier in here. I have a humidifier at my other apartment. I just need to grab it. Just needed to fix my monitors. I practically have a full-blown command center here. I have 4 monitors, like 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top for editing purposes and streaming purposes. It's crazy. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Okay, let's keep listening. Let me rewind to the beginning of it. This is 2:07. Okay, we only lost 10 seconds or so, 15 seconds. All right, let's listen to the clip.
Right now, I declare and I call forth our president to take his rightful place, Trump, to come forth right now, Step into your destiny that God gave you, called you, appointed you, and anointed you for this time to declare over America, to help America. This is his choice, and we call you forth right now in the name of Jesus Christ, who is with you, who will always be with you. The people are with you. The prophets of God are with you. The military is with you. So come forth, step into your destiny now, saith the Lord.
Yeah, so needless to say, she was completely and totally convinced that QAnon was correct about this claim, that Trump was going to retake the presidency, be re-inaugurated secretly by the real U.S. government on March 4th. And of course, what happened? Nothing. It fell flat. That didn't stop her, though. That didn't stop her from making prophecy after prophecy, especially leading up to the election. Now, this is the important part, okay? I want to give you a little bit of context for her beliefs leading up to the election. So what we've just seen, I feel, firmly establishes that she is a deep QAnon believer. What was she doing leading up to the 2020 election? What were her claims? What was she talking about? Late August 2019, she was at her church and she says this.
So I declare the upcoming election in 2020, the one you have chosen will win in a landslide.
Yeah, she was prophesying, not predicting, prophesying. This is a religious thing that this is a religious belief that she's invested herself in. She's prophesying. God gave her information from on high. He told her that Donald Trump would win in a landslide, that he would be president again in 2020. This is a tame clip, too. There are a billion examples of her saying that God told her specifically Trump was going to win the election. Hang on, let me find the right spot now. Yeah, okay. Here's another example, just a year previous to the last one that we watched, early August 2018. Look at this. She's talking to another church.
Yeah, Trump will be there for 8 years. I'll vote in for free. Pence for 8 years. That's for free.
Trump will be in there for 8 years and then Pence for 8 years. Obviously, the outlook has changed dramatically. The group, her brand of evangelicalism and her brand of Republican ideology doesn't even like Pence anymore. So I bet she's regretting these words. Hang on, let me fix this mic. 1 second. But here's the interesting part. But here's the interesting part. Remember, this isn't a prediction. This is a prophecy. This is a prophecy from God. This isn't like, I think that this is going to happen. It goes a step beyond. She believes God gave her divine information.
And whoever Pence picks as vice president, 8 years, that's for free. 24 years of God in the White House, and caught me up to heaven 4 times.
Called me up to heaven 4 times.
It showed me everything that would happen concerning Trump, and then showed me him sitting as president in the White House.
God showed Kat Kerr, called her to heaven, showed her Donald Trump in the White House.
There was nobody that couldn't convince me. He wasn't going to win. I don't care how many people running against him. We'll see. When God chooses you.
See, this is 2018, August 2018, she was saying this. August 2019, she was saying the exact same thing. Trump is going to win in a landslide. And then 2020 rolls around, and she has a complete meltdown when she finds out that Trump isn't going to be the president. Inauguration day, meltdown. It was honestly heartwarming. I loved it to death. I enjoyed it very much. I am so glad to see her taken down a peg and forced to face her delusion. I don't use that word lightly. I think in some cases, Some of these beliefs, not all, but some of them qualify as a full-blown delusion. And in Kat Kerr's case, I believe that they do. Let's see. Give me a second, see which clip this is. Okay, yeah. This is October 20th, 2021. So this is about 11 months, or almost a full 12 months after Trump lost and Biden had already been inaugurated. He was inaugurated January 20th, 2021. This is October 20th, 2021. So, yeah, 11 months. Listen to what, no, I'm sorry. 10 months, not 11. Listen to what she had to say 10 months after Trump lost and Biden was inaugurated as the new president of the United States. Listen.
He will have his 4 years. If someone, let's say they cheated in the Olympics and someone found out later and they had authority and were putting on high, they were put in higher positions or whatever, and then the real person was found out to be not guilty but innocent.
Oh, that's interesting, right? You can see her narrative changing right before our eyes. Sorry, I was looking at my camera timing. You can see the narrative changing right before our eyes. It started off for the years leading up to the 2020 election. It started off, she was saying God took her to heaven and showed her Donald Trump sitting on a throne and stuff like that. She said God showed her this information. This wasn't a prediction. It was a full-blown prophecy. Now, 10 months after Biden is reinaugurated, she has to come up with a new explanation for why she was wrong. This is basically us witnessing her delusion being shattered right in front of our eyes. She can't deny reality. It's right in front of her. She said God told her that Trump is going to be president, and now he's not. I mean, she really laid into it, too. She didn't just say it once and say, I think that this is going to happen. She repeated it for years. Seriously. Oh, and that last thing she said there?
Not guilty, but innocent.
I know this is a small point, but I just want to, make note of it. There is a difference between innocent and not guilty. There is a difference, logically speaking. Just like there's a difference, logically speaking, between true, not true, and false. They're not the same things. Like, they're not true and false are not the same. But I feel like that level of nuance is probably lost in this conversation, so I'm not even going to bother digging into it right now. Let's keep listening.
They would have to reestablish from that time period if contracts were given or things were promised. They wouldn't settle for I've got half of this contract left that now I can do. No, they will have to give Trump the full 4 years that he actually won in 2020.
See, she had to go this route with her narrative because originally she was guaranteeing people that Donald Trump was going to be president before 2021 ended. That's what she said multiple times. She went on this dude's stream, Steve Schultz, 450,000 followers on Facebook, by the way. She went on his Facebook page, on his streaming, on his Facebook streams, and said this, repeated it over and over and over again. She said Trump was going to be president this year, 2021, is what she said, quote unquote. And now we're at the end of 2021, in this case, October, and she had to kind of change the narrative around. So she starts out prophesying Trump is going to win the election for years, failed. Biden is inaugurated. Then she switches to Trump is going to be president again in 2021. Failed. She had to readjust the narrative once again. Well, guess what? Now we're in 2022, and she's decided she's going to readjust the narrative yet again. Check this out. Hang on. I had more clips I was going to go through, but I'm not going to go through them right now. Give me a second to find it. No, maybe that wasn't. Yeah, maybe that was the last clip. It was. Okay. March 2nd, 2022 is when this one came out. This is her readjustment of the narrative.
When they shut it down, immediately, right next to me, he said to me.
So remember, what she's talking about here is, let me give you some lead up to this before we actually watch the clip. She says God pulled her up to heaven, and she's sitting there watching like the election play out and all of that stuff, and God's talking to her. Listen to this, March 2nd, 2022.
When they shut it down, immediately, right next to me, he said to me, this is when they're going to cheat and steal the election. They'll bury the ballots, burn the ballots, they'll put fake ballots. I mean, he went down this whole list of exactly what they were doing while he was saying it to me. He was telling me what was going to happen. And then on November the 4th, God said it. That's what we said on that show. This is what God said last night. They stole the election. They're stealing it. They're putting millions of extra votes in. They have made fake ballots. They had them waiting to put in there.
Every one of these claims about the election is false. They're all false. They've all been debunked 1 billion times over. But like I said, she's a QAnoner and she believes this stuff. And instead of thinking critically about the things that she's about to say, she just spouts off as much nonsense as she can. And then tries to back it up by saying that God told her that these things were true. She takes QAnon claims and election conspiracies and tells people God told her that this was true. This isn't a prediction. This isn't prediction level stuff. This is prophecy level stuff. She calls herself a prophetess.
To put in there to count them, and that's why they closed early. It wasn't because they were overwhelmed by how tired they were, it's because that was their plan to steal it. So Trump won, and I got to say it, he won just like God said he would win the 2020 election. He won.
No, God didn't say that. You said that, Kat Kerr. There's a distinct difference here between God saying something and you saying something. I find it interesting that she speaks for God or claims to speak for God. The governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses claim to speak for God too, the exact same way. It's embarrassing when they do it. It's embarrassing when you do it.
When you steal, you don't win.
That's right. Yeah.
They never won. They didn't win. They still don't have power to be where they're at. They're operating with no power or authority given to them by man or by God. Okay.
So this is the new narrative that she's going with. Trump really did win the election. I was correct about that. They just stole it, and God told me that they were going to steal it. Well, that's not what you were saying before. I'll tell you what would be super convincing if this is what I would have needed for this to qualify as a prophecy, in my opinion. I would have needed you in 2018, when you were talking about Trump winning in a landslide, I would have needed you to have told us the names, specific names and locations and dates of people who are going to submit false votes or something like that. Though that didn't really happen. It's certainly not in large enough numbers to actually make a difference in the election. But just hypothetically speaking, if she had actually given us names, dates, locations, and they were exact, they were correct, and she wrote them down, put them in an envelope, sealed the envelope, mailed it to me, and then I open it 2 years later, the day after the election, and I can see that all of this stuff is verified, that's when I would consider it a valid prophecy. What you did was a veiled prediction, effectively taking God's name in vain and using it for your own benefit. And, you know, as a Christian, I would think that you would find that absolutely grotesque if somebody else was doing that. I cannot figure out how you can... Oh, hang on, let me reset my cameras. I cannot figure out how you justify this stuff to yourself. Seriously. Like, I feel like this is bordering on, if not full-blown, blasphemy. What you're doing here, Kat Kerr. And I really cannot figure out how you don't see it that way and how your followers don't see that. Seriously, the Bible warned us about people like you. How are people still falling for this? Anyway, all right, let me reset my cameras again. Actually, let me take a short break. Let's see. When we come back, we're going to talk about Josh Feuerstein's descent into madness. So give us 30 seconds and we'll be... Wait, let me find the correct transition here. Okay. All right, give us 30 seconds and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Telltale channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media. Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Welcome back. Okay, let's see. Let me switch screens. There we go. Okay, let's take a look at Super Chats. Where was I? No green screen. We want to see the cats in the background. Okay, well, they're around. I'm not sure where exactly. They're here somewhere. When I get the treats out, I'm sure they'll come running. You know what? Why don't I give them treats now? Hang on. Let's see if I can get the treats. 1 second. Kashmir's dealing with some deep trauma right now. He was moved against his will, and he's all freaked out. So I think Miki may be the only one coming for treats today, but give me a second here. Okay, that'll do. There we go. Hang on. That's as low as it goes, the camera. Oh, wait. There we are. Okay, let's see. Where was I? Jake the Pillow Snake. Way to go for staying committed to quitting swearing. Here's $5 for the swear jar. I appreciate that. Thank you. Jay-Z Meister, thank you for all that you do. As an atheist who spent years deconstructing from my Christian faith, I really appreciate all that you had to say. Well, thank you for coming. Caveman Rob, if Kat Kerr is a conspiracy nut, what makes her think her stick can kick Harp's ass at weather control, right? Well, let me think about that for a second. If Kerr's a conspiracy nut, what makes her think her stick can kick Harp's ass at weather control? Well, anything's possible in God. That's her response to that. I'm sure of it. I don't know. She's just completely unhinged with some of the shit that she says. It's so strange. Oh, shit. I just messed up my entire setup. Hang on. There we go. Okay. Zero Divider. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Kathy H. Thank you. Thank you as well. Thanks for the super sticker. That's pretty cool. STU Peppa Head, and for the delirious Marma goat of Shwawa showed thy doo-doo crusted path to the false prophet, shows innocence to all the incontinent. I don't understand the context, but I do appreciate the super chat very much, and maybe somebody can add some context to it by adding me in the chat or something. Let's see. Ray Fuller, love your channel, but you need some new material. I appreciate that. I appreciate that critique. Let me tell you this, though. The thing about YouTube is people tend to stick around for about 3 months. I cycle through subscribers roughly every 3 months. My core audience, some of them have been around for years, but for the most part, people come and go every 90 days, give or take. That means pretty much anything that I've said in the past older than 90 days, others haven't heard. For one thing. For another thing, I talk about these when I do talk about these pastors, these televangelists, these cults, these extremists, I always come with something new. So I simply disagree that you think I need new material. There is always something new in every single video that I put out. And it may be that time for you that you're just ready to go. You know, some people just don't want to stick around forever. That's totally okay with me. If I'm boring you, that's fine. You don't have to stick around. It's really okay. Let me go grab something. Hang on. Okay. My nail was messed up, so I wanted to fix it real quick. Give me a second. Okay, fixed. Scott Casellas. Hey, Owen. Just a little something to show some support from across the pond. Always sure to tune in to the stream. Keep up the great work. Thank you for coming, and thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. Hope you're doing okay across the pond. I know everybody is suffering as a result of what Russia is doing right now to Ukraine. We're all suffering to some degree. United States and the UK are not suffering as badly as some other countries. Some of them are doing really poorly as a result. But, you know, it's still hitting us. Inflation, gas prices, food prices, it's all getting to everybody. So I hope you're doing okay. Let's see, where was I? Ken Panda, welcome. Sorry I'm late. Apparently daylight savings time's not a global standard, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I know. Yes, daylight savings time changed. Damn. God, I didn't even realize that was happening until, like, I already got up this morning. Somebody was like, my wife Rose was like, you know, last night was daylight savings. I was like, no, I had no idea. Damn. All my clocks changed without me even realizing. Chandler Sleaziak, thank you. Hey, Owen, I like the new apartment, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I like it, too. I like it a lot. It's really nice and comfortable, and there's a lot more room here than there was in the other. I was basically streaming in a hallway before. It was a tiny little narrow space. Seriously. I mean, I leaned back in my chair, and I leaned against the wall, so I can tell you exactly how wide it was. Give me a second, and I'll tell you. Yeah, the hallway was roughly 60 inches that I was streaming in. So what is that? 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. That's 5 feet. 5 feet wide. Yeah, it was rough. Oh, do you need more treats? Where is Kashmir? Let me find the best place for these treats. There you go. Good kitty. Whoop. One of the treats went flying. I'm sure she'll find it eventually. Oh, where was I? Blasphemy and heresy. I feel so spoiled. Also, congrats on the new place. Good to hear that you're doing good. Thank you, Captain Garza. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm doing much better now that I'm in the new place. My old place didn't have a window in the living room, and that was hard. That was, like, really hard. You don't know if it's day or night. You don't get any sun whatsoever, in my case, because I work from home. So it was hard, man. I'm telling you. I'm glad I have a window finally. It's really good. Ray Fuller, love the kitties. Thank you. All that jazz. Here's $10 to swear more. Okay, well, YouTube will demonetize the holy frick out of me if I do. So I'm going to keep the swears to the minimum. And I'll use euphemisms instead, like frick and heck. Sleepy times. I want one of those I wish I wasn't living in a historical event pins, right? Oh my God. Seriously, how many historical events are we going to live through right now? I guess every event we live through is technically a historical one, but still, it sucks. Shantae Townsell, thank you. I so love how you always bring receipts for these delusional pastors. It just confirms their entire grift, and I'm here for it, lol. Keep doing what you're doing, my dear. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. A lot of the clips that I talk about, I could just show you the clip. I could just play it for you and respond to it. But I want to bring receipts and build a narrative and explain exactly why they're doing what they're doing, why they're talking about what they're talking about, and all of the context behind every sentence that they say. That's generally my goal in these clips. I could shorten them down to 5 minutes and just play the new one and react to it, but newcomers who are coming in have never seen it, never heard of these people or whatever, they wouldn't understand. That's why I build the whole thing from the ground up, so everybody has a full understanding of what's happening. Anyway, let's see. Sigma162, howdy from Texas. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Howdy from New York City. Long Journeys, have been watching every Sunday for over a year. That's crazy. You're a long-term viewer, then, I'd say. Like I said, most of my viewers are like, you know, once every 3 months type of people. Or stick around for 3 months type of people. And that's okay. Like I said, that's fine. That's okay with me. That's generally how YouTube works. You know, people move on. I do the same. I watched every Angry Video Game Nerd video that he ever put out. Spent 3 months watching everything that he ever put out. And I haven't watched him since, basically. I'm still a fan. Still like his stuff. But you know, I'm not going to, like, try to police his content, tell him that it sucks because he covers subjects that he's talked about before or whatever else. That's just, you know, it's fine if people want to go off and do their own thing or talk about different subjects or whatever else. That's okay with me. It's whatever. Let me fix this camera. God, this thing is not working for me right now. Let's see, is that right? Hold on. I gotta position myself exactly correctly here. Okay, I think that I gotta fix it. So I need to move it. Okay, I think that's down. Okay. That'll do. That'll do. Let's see. For messing up DST, right? That's why I never even say EST or DST. I just say Eastern time. And whichever, if it's daylight savings, then you'll understand that it's that. It's just, God, I wish that daylight savings didn't exist. It is nothing but trouble, honestly. Oh, let's see here. STU the Pepperhead. Stu the Pepperhead, I think. My point is those you expose spout nonsense, so let's make up some nonsense of our own. Please yell ketchup to turnips. My point, nonsense is the best sense, right? That makes sense. Okay. I'm with you then on that. That checks out. Norma Jean McDaniel. Guys, gals, non-binary pals. Right? You must have seen my Twitter. Yay, Sun PM chat. Springs fan. Yeah, on Twitter, I recently pointed out that my sister said that saying to me recently, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and I thought it was pretty clever. I think it's funny. Chandler Slesiak, I'm surprised that you aren't streaming on Twitch tonight. Oh, I will be. I'll be on Twitch tonight at 11 Eastern. So in an hour and a half, after the podcast is totally over, I'm going to go over there, do voicemails, and talk to people and hang out for a little bit. Mayus, I've been here since before the pandemic, was able to binge watch all of your videos over quarantine. Oh, nice. Good timing then, huh? To find my channel, because everybody was stuck inside, so that makes sense. Well, I'm glad you like my stuff. I appreciate you coming. Mikhail Pearson, is that right? Or Mikhail Person? Great channel. Greetings from Sweden. Well, thank you. Yes, greetings from New York City, United States. Anyway, I'll tell you what, let me reset my cameras, and then we can hit the next story. Okay, sweet. Hang on. Awesome. I wonder if I can get a headphone extender for this. I probably can, right? It feels a little bit short. Oop. My monitors keep getting all like messed up. They're not in the right positions. Okay, let's see. So that was Kat Kerr. Next one is Josh Feuerstein. Ooh, this one's an interesting one. This clip was actually really hard to find. This specific clip that's on screen right here. It's deleted from the internet, but I found a live streamer who talked about it years ago. It was actually years ago now. And I basically had to clean it up and cut it out, and yeah, it was not easy, but I got it. And that's what counts, right? Hang on. I gotta make this exactly right. It's not exact, but it's close enough. Okay. Oh, God, you guys aren't even seeing my screen right now. There we go. Sorry. Let's see. Awesome. Hang on, let me just glance through here. Okay. Next story I want to talk about is about a guy named Josh Feuerstein. Now, this is the guy on screen. He has a long history with the atheist community on YouTube, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But before I do, I want to introduce you to him. If you've never heard of him before, let me play this clip. This is, I believe, from 2020. This is a very hard clip to recover, but I dug it up out of some old vault somewhere, cleaned it up as best I could. I didn't get a date, but I believe it's shortly after the pandemic started, and people were trying to encourage mask use, and that's when it became a culture war issue, okay? So let's listen to where Josh Feuerstein fell on the mask issue.
So there's all these videos going viral on the internet of these Costco Karens holding their phones up, videoing these people that refuse to wear masks, calling them names and sending a message to them, look.
I love it how the people who are exposing the crybabies who refuse to wear a mask, those people exposing them are the Karens, not the crybabies who are refusing to wear a mask, but the people who are exposing that. That should give you an idea of where this guy stands right now. Keep listening.
Sending a message to them, look, my video is not for the people that refuse to wear masks. It's for the people instead that think that the government has the right to mandate mask wearing. So here's a message for you the best way you can understand.
Okay, let me just say the government does have a full right to mandate mask usage. They used to jail people or fine the hell out of them in the 1920s or the early or the late 19-teens, like during the Spanish flu pandemic. They would fine them or put them in jail if they refused to wear masks in some cases. So, yeah, the government didn't go anywhere near as far as it could have in the COVID pandemic. If they chose to, the government could have done a whole lot more. So I honestly don't even, I don't know what this guy's even crying about, but let's keep listening.
So here's a message for you the best way you can understand it. That was stop being stupid and sheep, okay? So if you agree with me, take a moment, click share, and as always, God bless. Have a very, very beautiful day.
Yeah, so that's Josh Feuerstein, if you were unfamiliar. What else do you say about that? What else do you say? I feel like that clip, I put it right at the front because it sums the guy up really nicely, in my opinion. Let me show you some of the other things that he got famous for, though. This one was from August 25th, 2014. This is his famous $100,000 atheist challenge. I thought it was a $10,000 challenge for some reason. Yeah, this is his atheist challenge. Listen to this. Give this a listen and see what he basically said he'd give you $100,000 if you could do this thing. I don't know that he even has 100,000, but let's listen.
What's up, Josh Feuerstein here. So I'm here to issue the $100,000 atheist challenge to anybody that could provide me proof or evidence that God does not exist. I think it's rather ridiculous that there's been people for a long time that have said...
Let me just pause there for a second. As an atheist, here's my belief. I'll give you my belief, okay? I don't know if God exists. I'm not saying God does not exist. It's possible that God does exist. But if God does, in fact, exist, and you wanted me to prove that he doesn't, I'm sorry, but if you want me to prove that God doesn't exist, you're going to have to define God for me. I assume Josh Feuerstein believes in the whole Jesus thing, right? Walked on water, turned water into wine, the whole 9 yards, led the, led the Jews out of Egypt and into Israel and all that stuff. I'm guessing that's what he believes in. I don't need to prove to you that that interpretation or that belief in God is real. You need to prove to me that it's real. He's trying to reverse the burden of proof here. That's the hang up. I don't have a responsibility to prove your beliefs to you. You have the responsibility to prove it to me. Let's keep listening.
People for a long time that have said that God does not exist, and yet they're unarmed because they have zero evidence and zero proof. How would that...
Well, that's the thing. You don't have any evidence or proof of your claims. Personally, just me speaking as Owen Morgan, I'm not making any claims. I'm not saying God doesn't exist. I'm saying I'm waiting for you to provide evidence to me. That's what I'm waiting for.
Zero evidence and zero proof. How would that ever hold up in a court of law?
How would that hold up in a court of law for you? Like, he keeps trying to flip this around. But, let's see, yeah. Not long after that one, August 18th. Wait, was that before or after? Hang on. Let's see. 56 seconds. August 20th. Yeah, okay. A week before that atheist challenge came out, August 18th, 2014, he puts out this clip of him supposedly debunking the theory of evolution. Listen to this.
Hey guys, Josh Feuerstein here. You know, the other day I had an atheist tell me that I was an idiot, moronic, and stupid for believing in God, that he created this world because it took way too...
Okay, I know that there are probably some atheists out there who talk like that, who will get up in someone's face and say you're an idiot and you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I do, and I don't hang around crowds who do things like that, who get up in Christians' faces and call them idiots. That's not my cup of tea. I don't think it's productive at all. So take that for what you will. Let's keep listening.
Because it took way too much faith to believe in a process like that, while he believed in what he called the science of evolution. Well, let's go ahead and let's do this. Dear Mr. Atheist,
FYI, just, as a fun fact here, that's actually where Mr. Atheist got his name, like Jimmy Snow. He got it from Josh Feuerstein saying that. Josh Feuerstein does a series of videos where he is writing a letter to atheists or whatever, and he says,
Mr. Atheist, well, let's go ahead and let's do this. Dear Mr. Atheist, first...
Yeah, that's his intro for a lot of his videos, Josh Feuerstein. And Mr. Atheist decided to create a channel based around that. He's answering Mr. Christian or whatever, so he called himself Dear Mr. Atheist. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, completely irrelevant. I just thought it was interesting, like a little fun fact for you. A YouTube internet historian fun fact for you.
Well, let's go ahead and let's do this. Dear Mr. Atheist, first of all, let me correct you. Because evolution is not a science, never has, and never will be. Why? Because it cannot fit within the parameters and parentheses of science for one simple reason. It was never observed.
Incorrect. Yes, it was. Evolution is observed every single day. We can, here's the thing about evolution. It is an overarching set of ideas that include things like gene duplication, natural selection, sexual selection, artificial selection. What are some of the others? Gene mutations. A whole bunch of things are all under this entire branch of science that makes up evolution. And we observe each of these things individually on a daily basis. The natural selection part, that's a process that you would think would take too long for us to actually observe, right? Because it has to happen over millions of years, basically. But actually, no, it just has to happen over lots and lots and lots of generations. And we have E. coli, for example, certain bacterias or other things that have really, really short reproduction cycles. They will reproduce and create new generations like that, just back to back to back. And over the course of 30 years, we can actually watch evolution take place in short generation organisms. So that's simply wrong. You're incorrect here, Josh. I'm sorry. That's wrong.
Simple reason. It was never observed. That's why it's not science. That's why it's called the theory of evolution.
I'm sorry. This dude is like busting out every misunderstanding out there about evolution. I just have to correct them. I'm sorry, guys. A theory is actually pretty much the top, as high as you can go in the field of science. Once you get to theory status, you've graduated to the very top, because that is the... theories are used to describe overarching frameworks about concepts or ideas. And from theories, you derive things like laws. The theory of relativity, the theory of gravity, the theory, or the germ theory of disease are all theories with a scientific framework that describe exactly what's happening. And from the theory of relativity, we derive laws, like the law of gravity. There's the theory of gravity and the law of gravity that describe different things. What you're confusing a theory with is a hypothesis. There's a, what's the word I'm looking for here? You're mixing up theory and hypothesis. People tend to do that in like a, I'm trying to think of the word here. People do that in just a casual setting. That's the word I was looking for, casual. People do that in casual settings. They mix up the word theory and hypothesis all the time. But in a scientific setting, the theory of evolution is absolutely rock solid. There are no questions about whether or not it's real. If evolution was proven to be false tomorrow, which is possible because it is falsifiable, but it hasn't been falsified up to now. If it was falsified, we would still have to explain why we have things like natural selection, gene duplication, gene mutations, and all of the other individual parts that go into the theory of evolution. So just complete nonsense. You're wrong. You are incorrect. And you're spouting off every misunderstanding and misquote that you have about evolution. Let's keep listening.
Of evolution. The one thing that science demands, maybe you've heard of something called the law of thermodynamics, which means...
Ooh, I love this one. He's talking about the second law of thermodynamics. Absolutely. I know exactly what he's about to say here. Let's listen in.
Which means that chaos can never produce order.
No, that is not what the second law of thermodynamics says. It says, in a closed system, entropy increases. When there is no fuel being added to a closed system, entropy increases. Entropy is the lack of order, basically. So the more entropy there is, the more disordered a set of molecules or whatever is. Here's where it gets, here's where the hang-up is with Josh Feuerstein's claim, okay? The Earth is not a closed system. The Earth has a fuel source coming in called the sun. The sun is bearing down and giving us energy in the form of heat and so on and so forth. In the form of heat, among other things. So the Earth isn't a closed system, and for that reason, the second law of thermodynamics does not apply to Earth. That is why you see order instead of disorder on Earth. Like the second law of thermodynamics would say that life shouldn't exist if it was a closed system, but it's not. Anyway, let's keep listening.
Never produce order. Look at the world that we live in. The sun goes up, the moon comes out, we travel around the sun, we have years, we have days, we have seasons.
He's starting to sound like Bill O'Reilly over here.
The tide comes in and out, everything works like a clock. It has order. And yet, you cannot argue that a world that has order came out of an accident because it defies the very logic and laws of science.
No, it doesn't. That's just a complete misunderstanding of the laws of science. If you actually understood what they were and what they said and what was required, I mean, this really requires like deep scientific understanding and a lot of research to fully understand exactly what's being described in the second law of thermodynamics. And when some, when some layman comes along and tries to pick it apart and try to prove that it disproves atheists' position or whatever, it just makes it's just nonsense. It just makes you look like you don't know what you're talking about, because you don't. I actually went to school for chemistry for a semester before I switched to a psychology degree. I went to school for chemistry, and we talked about the second law of thermodynamics. They explained to me, after I had built up some level of basic understanding for the scientific method and all of the stuff involved. Oh, Cashmere's here. He's walking around back there. They actually, I built up this foundation to understand, to be able to understand what they were talking about when they were describing some of the elements involved in the second law of thermodynamics. This guy doesn't have, like, the very beginning, the basics. He doesn't have the most basic knowledge to understand what the second law of thermodynamics is even talking about. So what he's saying here is complete nonsense. It makes no sense. From a scientific perspective, I can tell you he's incorrect, because the Earth is not a closed system. There is energy being fed into it. So there you go. If you're curious, just look into that. Just go to like the second law of thermodynamics Wikipedia page, and I'm sure you can read more about it. It'll explain the whole thing.
Of science. You see, you think it takes a lot of faith for me to believe in a God that created this world, a God that created order, and yet, what if I were to tell you that somewhere in Oklahoma, a tornado rolls through a junkyard full of a bunch of old cars, and somewhere on the other side of that tornado, out of that junk pile, it magically produces a perfectly red, shiny, working Lamborghini?
Yes, that would be absolutely absurd, because that is not actually what happened. We have a certain level of entropy, right? You start feeding energy into the system, and entropy starts decreasing. Things start to get more ordered over a long stretch of time. What you're describing is you snap your fingers and then there's a Lamborghini in front of you, like instant order. Instant order. That's not what happened. Order did not suddenly come to be on Earth instantly. That is ridiculous. What you're describing here is absolutely ridiculous. It slowly built up over the course of 4.5 billion years, and until we finally reached the point that we're at now, where we have humans and we have cars and, high rises and stuff like that. We have all kinds of incredibly complex systems here on Earth because over a long period of time, energy was fed into the system. That's not in violation of the second law of thermodynamics. Nothing about evolution is in violation of any of the scientific laws.
You would tell me I was nuts. You would tell me that I had lost it. You would probably try to admit me into the psychiatric ward. Why? Because that is absolutely stupid. I mean, how much faith would it really take to believe something as idiotic as that? It had to be by intelligent design.
My God, this dude just keeps laying down, like, misunderstanding after misunderstanding, terrible argument after terrible argument. I mean, how many has he given us so far? Like 5 of them at least? Second law of thermodynamics, that bit about evolution not being observable, intelligent design. I mean, it just keeps going and going. It's crazy, dude. He tried to debunk evolution in 3 minutes. That was even the name of this video clip of his. A Christian debunks evolution in 3 minutes or something like that. He just laid out all of the thoroughly debunked ideas that Christians have been spouting off for like decades in those 3 minutes. That doesn't disprove evolution.
Fine. So, dear Mr.
Who? Hang on, let me step back. 250. Give me a second. Okay.
Design. So, dear Mr. Atheist, who really has to have a lot of faith today to believe in their theory?
drives me absolutely nuts. But here's where the guy actually got famous. This got him on like CNN and all kinds of other news networks. What he said in this is November 8th, 2015. He starts throwing an absolute temper tantrum over the Starbucks cup being red for Christmas. Check this out.
Josh Feuerstein here. You know, I think in the age of political correctness, we become so open-minded, our brains have literally fallen out of our head. Do you realize that Starbucks wanted to take Christ and Christmas off of their brand new cups? That's
not true. They just liked red cups. That's not why they removed Christmas from it or whatever else.
Off of their brand new cups. That's why they're just plain red. In fact, do you realize that Starbucks isn't allowed to say Merry Christmas to customers? Well,
not true. As far as I know, that's never been true. Matter of fact, we can actually just look this up real quick. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Let me just pull it up. Give me a second here. I'll pull it up so that we can all see it. Hold up. Okay, here we go. Switch screens. Let me blow it up a little bigger for you guys to see. The war on Christmas cups. This is on Snopes.com. The coffee chain Starbucks removed all mentions of Christmas from their red holiday cups because they hate Jesus. Rating? False. Origin? The Starbucks coffee chain's use of special holiday cups during November to December timeframe is an annual tradition that dates to 1997. Each year since then, the coffee chains unveiled new designs, which typically feature traditional winter and Christmas holiday symbols, such as snowmen, ornaments, and reindeer. When Starbucks unveiled their 2015 holiday cup, many customers were surprised to see that it sported a solid red design that featured no symbols other than the standard green and white Starbucks logo. In a press release issued on 22nd of October 2015, which was, this clip came out, let's see, is it 312? Yeah, this clip came out November 8th, 2015. And Starbucks had released this statement to the public October 22nd, 2015. So basically 2 weeks before Josh Feuerstein even released this. This year's iconic red Starbucks cup features a two-toned ombre design with a bright poppy color on top that shades into a darker cranberry below. We've anchored the design with the classic Starbucks holiday red that is bright and exciting, said Jeffrey Field, Starbucks Vice President of Design and Content. The ombre creates a distinctive... No, the ombre? Am I saying that wrong? The ombre? Yeah. The ombre creates a distinctive dimension, fluidity, and weightedness. Since '97, Starbucks has served its holiday beverages in unique cups, starting with a jazz-themed design in jewel tones of deeper reds, greens, and blues. Every year since, the cup has told a story of the holidays by featuring symbols of the season, from vintage ornaments and hand-drawn reindeer to modern vector-illustrated characters. In the past, we've told stories with our holiday cups designs. This year, we wanted to usher in the holidays with a purity of design that welcomes all of our stories. Starbucks has become a place of sanctuary during the holidays, he said. We're embracing the simplicity and the quietness of it. It's a more open way to usher in the holiday. So it was just an aesthetic choice. It wasn't a religious thing. They weren't making a statement. They don't hate Jesus or any of that stuff. But none of the facts matter to people like Josh Feuerstein. There we go. And like I said, this video that Feuerstein put out really got some attention. It got him on CNN. Like I said, he ended up, maybe it was CNN or MSNBC, one of them. He went on a news network and debated somebody about Christmas or Starbucks Christmas cup or something. It's complete nonsense. This is one of the things that really propelled him to fame. He is incredibly influential now. Hang on. If that doesn't give you an idea of where he stands on culture war issues, would you be surprised to find out that he gave away guns at his church to people who showed up?
Amen. You come to worship Jesus and leave with a gun. Amen.
No joke. Dude gave out guns at church. And then, After that, okay, January 5th, 2021, he shows up at the rally, at like the Trump rally leading up to the January 6th events. He was at the Stop the Steal rally that took place at the Capitol right before the January 6th events happened. Listen to what he had to say there. Hang on, let me reset my cameras. Okay, here we go. All right, check this out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bible declares that the thief and the enemy has come but to kill, to steal, and to destroy. For the last 40 years, the liberals have tried to kill our unborn babies, steal elections, and destroy the Constitution. But patriots have come to Washington, D.C. to make their voices heard that we will not allow them to steal this election.
Completely unhinged from reality. No joke. Completely unhinged from reality. Dude has completely bought into all of the conspiracy mongering and all of the fears and all of the other nonsense that QAnon and extremist right-wingers have to sell him, honestly. And it's incredibly sad. He is now propagandizing for them. But like I said, he's been doing this kind of thing since 2014 at the very least. That's when his $100,000 atheist challenge video came out, 2014. So, yeah, that's where we are now with Josh Feuerstein. And as I said, he's not a nobody. Look at this. He's at a Trump rally, the January 5th Trump rally, leading up to the events of the January 6th, leading up to the storming of the Capitol on January 6th. He was at that rally right before the January 6th events. He was there, and he was giving a speech there. He was invited to speak at the Stop the Steal rally for Donald Trump on January 5th. That's influence right there. Hang on. Not only was he invited to speak there, but he intentionally, specifically used a lot of inflammatory, warlike language leading up to this. Remember, this stuff was happening just before they stormed the Capitol, broke into it, and erected gallows out back.
Of a Judean hill tending the flock, when a lion and a bear came to steal the little lambs. Why did God put David there? He put him there to stop the steal. But we as the Church of the Living God are standing up saying we're not just mad at hell, but we're mad as hell. The Bible declares that it was David that defeated the lion and the bear. Unfortunately, today, we don't fight lions and bears. We fight liberals and rhinos. And let me speak to Right Side Broadcasting to...
It's completely unhinged. Some of the stuff that he says is incredibly disturbing. Not just in this, but just in general. The things that he says really deeply disturb me. Hold on, let me step back a few seconds here.
So today I stand with the Black Robe Regiment, and I have one preacher declaring to patriots.
Black Robe Regiment is a callback to basically fighting a literal physical war. They literally want to fight a physical war against liberals or Democrats or whatever else. That's what he's calling back to right now.
To patriots, it is time for war. Let us stop the steal.
Yeah, if the Black Robe Regiment reference wasn't enough, he even said, I'm calling out to patriots, it's time for war, stop the steal. I mean, that's concerning stuff, dude. Really, that's concerning stuff right there. I'm very disconcerted by what's happening right now. Okay? So that one was January 5th, 2021, right? Well, he's back. He's back. Early March 2022, he and his wife went on their show or whatever, and they had some things to say. Josh and Jess is their show. So I wanted to see what kind of advice they had for young people today. Let's check this out.
Yeah, like one thing that I notice a lot of like even people on Instagram or Facebook do. They always do like Woman Crush Wednesday, Man Crush Monday, and they always are like, oh, this is my celebrity crush, and I'm always thinking like, what? This is my Man Crush Monday right here.
Okay, well, for one thing, we don't know that the people on Instagram or whatever who are saying that stuff, we don't know that they're in a relationship. Maybe they're not. But these guys, these two people, they are fundamentalists. They are extremists to the core, honestly. And I lived in that world for a long time as a Jehovah's Witness, and I happen to know that as a Jehovah's Witness, I was expected to get married as young as possible, 18 years old, ideally, because that would lock me in for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't get myself into trouble by doing something unscriptural with somebody else. That's kind of the mindset that these people have. Lock yourself in early so that you're not tempted to do something unscriptural. If you are single, then there's something wrong with you. That's where their heads are at. That's why she's saying Man Crush Monday or whatever other thing she was talking about there. That's why she's saying it's wrong, because people should be in a relationship, period. And if they're in a relationship, there shouldn't be any crushes on anybody else. Which, for the record, actually, I agree with. I'm monogamous personally. I don't think that people in relationships should be with others unless that's part of your relationship. Unless you're in an open relationship or whatever, that's okay with me. I'm fully monogamous. Like, I have no interest in open relationships or anything like that. So it wouldn't be okay with me, but I'm okay with you making your life decisions and being happy with them, even if you're polygamous. None of my business. I'm totally okay with that. If that's what makes you happy, then do it. I say the exact same thing to everybody. If that's what makes you happy, you're not hurting anybody else, do it. You only live once, right? Seriously, YOLO. You only live once. We're only here for a finite amount of time. Do not burn that time up being miserable. So it just so happens that I'm happy in a monogamous relationship, fully monogamous, like not in an open relationship or anything, but that's just me. If it makes you happy to be in something different, then go for it. Anyway, let's keep listening.
Wednesday, Man Crush Monday, and they always are like, oh, this is my celebrity crush, and I'm always thinking like, what? This is my Man Crush Monday right here. Like
every Monday.
Okay. I feel like he was trying to communicate more information than we needed, but maybe that's just my poor interpretation. Let's keep listening. Please let it be my poor interpretation.
Like
every Monday. It then leads to, people saying, oh, that one celebrity is my hall pass. Or it's like now all of a sudden we have people that are talking about like, well, if my wife ever met this person, I'd let her sleep with them. Or if I ever met this person, then that's my hall pass. And it's like, where does this start? Why all of...
Well, let me just say, who cares? Why is it your business? It's not your business, as a matter of fact, Josh. It doesn't matter. Let people live their lives and be happy the way that they're happy. It's just a fun little game, truly. It's just a fun little game. Not my cup of tea. Like I said, I'm not into it. I wouldn't do it. That's not how my relationships operate. But like I said, we only live once. Enjoy life to the fullest because you only get one go around. Instead of letting people live their lives and enjoy it and define who they are and their interests and everything, Josh Feuerstein is doing everything he can to repress people and force them into this little box that's defined by not the Bible, but his interpretation of the Bible specifically.
All pass. And it's like, where does this start? Why all of a sudden is infidelity in marriage, whether...
That's not infidelity. If it's something that's agreed upon, then it's not infidelity. It's an understanding that both people have come to. So I simply disagree with the characterization.
Infidelity in marriage, whether it's just like, just making a covenant with your eyes, all right? Because people say, well, how is Instagram infidelity? Well...
it's not. Instagram is not infidelity.
Because if a woman posts a booty pic, right, and I'm over there engrossed in her booty.
Okay, this is getting weird. For the record, that's the end of the clip anyways, but You know, people's relationships are defined by each other's boundaries. People define the boundaries of their own relationships together, and Josh Feuerstein and his wife are desperately trying to come in and redefine those boundaries for people, and I just can't stand it. It makes my skin crawl, especially knowing where this guy's head is at with everything else. I really don't think that he should be defining anything in people's lives based on the things that he has to say, based on the fact that he seems to have a real interest in creating a second civil war, based on what he said at the Trump rally, based on his complete misrepresentation and or misunderstanding of basic stuff, based on the fact that he's willing to slander and attack a company over something nonsensical, like he did with Starbucks, based on his misunderstanding of evolution. I mean, at the most fundamental levels, like he hasn't even researched it, even a little bit. Even a layman, even somebody who's, even a cursory amount of research take you an hour. You should know more than Josh Feuerstein if you research evolution for a single hour. Like, I don't think this guy should be defining any part of somebody's life. He really needs to get a grip on his own life and his own understanding of the world around him before he starts defining it for other people. Anyway, all right, let me take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about... When we come back, we're going to talk about one of QAnon's star members, Pastor Jackson lahmeyer, running for Congress and getting some crazy endorsements. So give us 30 seconds, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Telltale Channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media: Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Welcome back. Let me switch screens. Hang on. There we go. Where was I? Hold on. Looking for where I was in the super chats. Okay. I think this is it. Scott Stanton, doesn't this kind of predictions show how weak God is? Oh, don't these predictions show how weak God is? Just saying. I think that's what you mean. And yeah, absolutely. Either that or they show how weak and out of touch the prophets are if they're really prophesying this stuff and it's really not coming true. I don't understand how people can say God was going to guarantee that Trump was going to win, and then Trump doesn't win. And now they're starting to back out and saying, oh, it's because Biden reversed prophecy. What? I didn't know Biden was capable of such a thing. I mean, even assuming Biden is a demon, which is ridiculous, and I'm not even prepared to make that assumption, but just for the sake of argument, if Biden was a demon, are you telling me that demons are more powerful than God? This blows my mind that they decide to go here with this whole line of thought. Absolutely absurd. Where was I? Connie Moreno, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Dan Yeager, I know how you love fun words, so when you said that your monitors were off-center, I shouted, cattywampus. It's a fun word that means crooked or askew. Interesting. Okay, I do like that. Yeah, I like the word askew, too. Askew is good. My monitors are quite askew. And or cattywampus. Alan Beaupre, I think. Hi, Owen, longtime fan from Montreal. Keep up the good work. You're the kind of people who make a difference in the world. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you think so. I'm glad you like my stuff, and thanks for coming. Godless blessings. Use of free will can produce results that were not part of God's plan. So the structure of the universe can result in miseries that were not intended by God. D'Souza, page 176. What is so great about God? WTF, godless blessings. Yeah. when you start actually reading the things that they say, it's nonsense. The only people that seem to understand what's being said and don't see the blatant holes in the logic are people who already believe it, who are already primed to accept what he's laying down. It doesn't, like, they just shut their brain off, and they don't even want to think about the logical process that they would need to pick it apart. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is the result of childhood indoctrination. Seriously. Let's see. Kelsey K, I think. Hey, been a viewer and fan since before transitioning. Just wanted to say that listening to your content has gotten me through a lot with substance abuse and DV from my ex. Just want to say thanks for being there. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad that you like my stuff. Glad that I could do something to contribute. Glad that you transitioned and finally come to accept who you are. That's good news too. And also, glad you got out of substance abuse and DV. I was dealing with both of those at one point in my life too. So I absolutely 100% understand what you know, the pain that you've had to deal with, at least in those aspects of your life. I've been there too. So glad you've escaped it and you're doing better. And once again, thanks for watching. Let's see. Chandler Slesiak, I feel you about theories, Owen. I always have to correct religious people about the scientific definition of theory, too. I know. It blows my mind. They really don't understand this stuff. And some people, it's like, do they really not know? Do they really not know? I mean, Kent Hovind has had this stuff explained to him like at least 1 billion times. He's been in a ton of debates with Aaron Ra and everybody, just everybody. And somehow he can't wrap his mind around the difference between a scientific theory and a colloquial theory. You really don't know there's a difference. You really don't understand how evolution works. I mean, how many times has it been explained to you? Really? At least 1 billion, right? It kills me. And he uses the exact same arguments every single debate. I just don't get it. I think we call that lying for Jesus. AKA theocratic warfare. Jehovah's Witnesses have a term for it too. Let's see, where was I? Ashley Williams, been here since 2018. Wow, that's crazy. I've got some people who've been here forever. I started my channel actually March 11th, I think, 2016. So it's been 6 years as of 2 days ago. I think that's pretty cool. It's my 6th birthday on YouTube recently. Lulu girl, glad you made it. Glad you made it to your new place. While moving sucks, it does force you to go through and get rid of your old piles of crap. If you're like me, absolutely, yeah. Well, my old place was 550 square feet, so I didn't have much room for piles of junk there. A little bit, but I'm definitely getting rid of some of the old stuff, and I don't want to feel boxed in this new place anymore. So I'm not bringing stuff if I don't need it. I may try to break my collection down a little bit and put it in storage too, some of it at the very least, because I just don't want to feel like boxed in and confined anymore, period, you know? Oh, where was I? Hung like Jesus. That Josh dude is just regurgitating a bunch of stuff he heard once, then mashed them all together because he thinks it makes him sound intelligent. Exactly. Yep. And it's easily debunked stuff too. This isn't like high-level ideas that the scientific community struggles to grapple with. This is stuff that's been debunked for like decades, honestly. It's ridiculous and sad. Let's see. Captain Gars, forget my usual joking. I'm a supporter of the Second Amendment, but giving guns out at church is massively dangerous. Josh, or whoever he is, needs serious help, or he needs to be in prison. Yeah. Well, I didn't talk about this before, but he's actually released. I mean, he's a public figure with a following. Like I said, he's been on CNN. He's not a nobody. He has people who listen to his every word, and many of them are extremists. And at one point, he actually said, I'm not sure that I want to say it on YouTube. He basically said, you know, doctors have been performing abortions all this time. Well, it's time that we make them run in fear for their lives. Tonight, we should find a doctor and, you know, blah, blah, blah. He was very, very specific, seriously. He deleted that, you know, shortly thereafter. I think I could probably find a copy of it. I think I know where to look. But he's actually come out and endorsed violence directly. Deleted it shortly after. I really don't know how he didn't spend time in jail for that, really. That was a direct call to violence. He's also, there are videos of him with his kids, and he's just, it's bad, dude. It's bad. This guy's just not good. He's incredibly concerning, some of the things that he says and does. Anyway, hung like Jesus, what Josh needs to do is invest in a meal plan. Yeah, well, you know, I guess we've all got our problems. I try not to bag on people for their for the things that they're struggling with in life. But when this guy is criticizing others for the way that they're living, I feel like he should kind of get his own house in order first. You know, I heard that a lot when I was a Jehovah's Witness. You need to get your own house in order before you can shepherd the flock or whatever. You know, it's just hypocrisy to call people out for something that they do when you're dealing with serious issues at home. And not just like, you know, overeating or something, but a lot of other issues. Like, this guy's got a very concerning life with very concerning family members and stuff. My God. Nervardia, happy Sunday, TT. Almost finished an epic 20.5 hour shift. Wow. So it's still Sunday for me. Holy mother, that's crazy. That must have been difficult, but I'm glad you made it through. And thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Zeta Hugla, your cat will seem to sit still, at least for now. Yeah, I guess he decided to sit in the chair back there, huh? That's nice. All that jazz. Been a fan since late 18 or early 19, I think. That's cool. Well, I'm glad you guys are here, all of you, really. That's pretty cool. A lot of people kind of come and go within 3 months, and that's really okay. I'm sorry. And that's really okay. Like I said, if you guys have things going on in your life, it's okay with me. If I don't need you to put yourself out to continue to watch my stuff. I'm glad that you're here, and I appreciate that you're here, but I don't want you to, put yourself out to like watch all my stuff and watch it as soon as it comes out and all that stuff. Like, you guys have lives too, and I get that. Anyway, all right, I'll tell you what, let me reset my cameras, and then we'll hit the next story. Okay, we're going to have to zip through these stories because we're running a little short on time. I would love to talk forever on here, but, people have school in the morning and stuff, and I have work in the morning, so sadly I can't stay on for too long. I have to get done preferably by 11. No later than like 11:15 though. Okay. Let's see. So that was the Feuerstein clip. Next is the lahmeyer clip. Did you guys hear that Jim Brewer did a video about me? Jim Brewer, the comedian, did a video about me. And he was not kind either. It's interesting. I'm planning on covering it on my main channel. I already talked about it a little bit on my Twitch channel when I was streaming, playing Pokemon Red. I talked about Brewer and his just really odd takes. But anyway, hopefully I'm going to do a main channel video. He invited me on his podcast to talk about it with him, talk about our disagreements. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. I'm not sure I want to. It's up in the air. We'll see what happens. All right, let's see. So lahmeyer is next. lahmeyer/Flynn. When I was a programmer, we used to call slashes whacks and back whacks. The / was a whack. The backslash was the back whack. So Lahmeyer Whack Flynn is the name of Lahmeyer Whack Flynn compilation. That's the name of this clip here. Ray Fuller, my apologies for the new content comment. You're doing great. I'll be watching for a lot longer than 3 months. No problem. I appreciate that. It was a good opportunity to talk about why I cover the people that I cover and stuff like that. Don't sweat it. Thank you for being here. And again, thank you for the super chats and stuff. I appreciate that. Anyway, all right. Let's see. Okay. You guys may not have heard of Jackson LaMayer. I have talked about him before, but it's been a while. He is running for Congress. It's this guy on screen right here if you're watching rather than listening. This clip is from early August 2021. I want to introduce you to Jackson LaMayer because, as I said, he's running for Congress. It's important that we know who he is, what he believes, and some of the crazier things that he espouses. So let's watch this. Early August 2021, this is his response to the possibility that maybe the government could hold another lockdown. Wasn't going to happen at this point. This was only, what was this? This is less than a year ago at this moment when this is being filmed. This was less than a year old. The government really had no serious intentions of holding another lockdown, but let's just see what he had to say about it.
Now, I got news for you today. Here at Sheridan, this is a group of people, we don't bow to tyrants either. We don't do it, and we never will. There's rumors and speculation that come next month, they're going to try a national lockdown.
Rumors and speculation? I honestly don't remember them talking about a national lockdown like that late into the pandemic. Like I said, this is like, he was saying that this is going to happen in September of 2021. So yeah, I don't remember that. Maybe there was speculation and it's just me. I think he's just, personally, I suspect that he's just using this as a persecution complex thing. He's trying to make people feel like they're persecuted, make his church feel that way. Because as we all know, persecution complexes fuel loyalty and brotherhood and camaraderie within groups. If they believe they're persecuted, they will donate harder. So cults tend to use the persecution complex against the members all the time. It seems to me that's probably what he's doing. Even if there was a lockdown proposed or speculated about at this time, he's still using it as part of the persecution complex. Either way. Let's keep listening.
United States of America, that includes churches. A national lockdown. Well, let me tell you something. When the Luciferians...
Oh, here we go. Luciferians. Yeah, he's a QAnoner. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. He's a member of QAnon, a full-blown QAnon believer. But it gets more interesting. I'll get there. I'll get there. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Keep listening.
Luciferians is something. When the Luciferians tried to shut down churches last year, we didn't bow then, and we won't bow now. You can mark my words. In fact, let me tell you what's going to happen if these Luciferians try to shut down this church.
Absolutely part of the persecution complex. Whether the lockdown really was speculated at the time or not, he is absolutely most definitely using it as a point of persecution. And he seems to think that the lockdown is all about him and his church. Luciferians, quote unquote, Satan worshippers and demons within government are trying to force churches to shut down permanently. That's what he believes. That's what he's saying when he says Luciferians.
Shut down this church. We will have church every single night while there's a national lockdown. Every single night there will be church in this house. You say, Jackson, that's really excessive to have church every single night. You know what's excessive? Trying to shut down the church. That's really excessive in my mind.
See, that's the fundamental misunderstanding here. Nobody wanted to shut down any churches. None. Zero. At any point in time ever in the United States, at least during the pandemic, nobody has tried to shut down churches because all we wanted was for you to do Zoom meetings temporarily until the pandemic got under control because people were dying. And guess what? Churches refused to do that, some of them. And as a result, people like John MacArthur, Tony Spell, let's see, a whole bunch of other churches that I've covered throughout time, that I've been covering since the pandemic took place, a whole bunch of them refused and acted as super spreaders. They acted as super spreader events during a worldwide pandemic. Let's see. And up to this moment, it looks like we've got 966,000 COVID deaths. At least some portion of those deaths are on your conscience, Jackson LaMayer. Your conscience. Even if you didn't keep your doors open during COVID, which I believe he did, but even if he hadn't, this kind of rhetoric right here fueled the culture war and made people more willing to not wear masks. In fact, it made them more willing to cause a scene in stores if they were asked to wear a mask or to do basic stuff, social distancing or whatever else. Some number of those 966,000 deaths are on your conscience.
We don't bow. We didn't bow then. We will not bow now. We've made up our minds. Well, it's just 30 days.
Hang on one second. Alpha 40 wants to use the bathroom, so give it a second. I'll cut this out later. Uh-oh, Kashmir's scared. Oh my God, all my stuff is disorganized. There we go. Okay. Where was I? I think I was... Hang on. Oops.
We didn't bow then.
Yeah, this is where I was. We'll step back to there. I feel like I'm off center. I guess I can center myself in post editing or whatever. In post production. Let's take a look at super chats. Where was I? Hang on. Zada Hugla. Okay, serious question. Which is better, likes or watch throughs? I see all you on Sundays, so I often skip through your uploads. Definitely, it would definitely be better to watch the uploads rather than the live stream, for sure. Like, for the sake of the algorithm and everything, yeah. It boosts the channel more to watch the uploads individually, but watch it how you like. I've said this before, social media growth has to be organic. You can't force it. You can't, try to tell people if you don't do this, then my channel's going to fail, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. There's some number of core audience members who will help you and do what you're asking, watch the uploads or whatever, instead of the live streams. It doesn't matter. It has to be organic. It has to. So there's no point in trying to force it or whatever. So just do what makes you comfortable. Like, if you don't want to watch my Twitch, don't feel pressured to. I'll get the views that I need to get to make affiliate or partner or whatever else, or I won't, one or the other. And if you want to contribute to that, then great. I appreciate that very much. But don't ever feel pressured to do something for my sake. I'll make it one way or another. So that's kind of my take on it. Anyway, thank you for the super chat on that. Chandler Sleaziak, been here since 2018. Wow, your videos and podcasts have gotten me through a lot. Currently getting me through some depression. Love you, Owen. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad I could contribute in some way, and I absolutely understand what you mean, having to go through tough times, so good luck dealing with it. I hope you make it through. I hope you make it through quickly. Krabby J, thanks for exposing these faux Christian phonies and anti-vax / mass grifters. Of course, I find this stuff endlessly fascinating, like on a sociological and psychological perspective or level. I find it really interesting to kind of see like the narratives that these people are building and the perspectives that they're looking at this from and the propaganda techniques they're using and all that stuff. I find it fascinating. Sad, but fascinating. Where was I? Nathan DeHoyos, thank you so much. I appreciate that. My former boss is Josh's mentor, Jason Sisco, I think. Wow, really? That's crazy. I had no idea. I was wondering, like, somebody definitely indoctrinated Josh, and I wasn't sure who it was. I'm still not 100% sure exactly who. Like, I'm sure it was a series of people. His parents, his church, and all that. Church leaders, youth pastors, all those people. But that dude is off the hinges at this point. Like, completely off the hinges now. I heart dogs. Thank you so much. I appreciate the super sticker. That's awesome. What happened to the background? I moved, and I don't have a green screen that fits properly. And I'm not 100% sure I want to use a green screen consistently anymore. We'll see. Still thinking about it. Anyway, yeah, just give me another minute here to sit and drink my kofifi and things. Let's see here. Here we go. Oh, you know what? God, I so want to cover this Jim Brewer thing. It absolutely kills me that this dude is talking mad shit about me. It's actually really interesting. I'm not sure if he wants me, or I'm not sure if I should go on his podcast or not. What do you guys think? Should I go on Jim Brewer's podcast and talk through our disagreements? You guys should really watch that video that he did of me. It's like an hour long, and like I said, I'm going to be covering it on my main channel eventually. Here, let me post it in the chat. I'm going to be covering it on my main channel eventually. I've already talked about it a little bit on Twitch. But it's an absolutely fascinating thing. Here, all right, I'm going to paste the link. There's the link if you're curious, if you want to watch it. I've talked about half of it on Twitch, not the whole thing. It's really long and rambly, but yeah, super interesting. Hey, welcome, Joris. Hell no, it's a trap. You think? I don't know. I'm not convinced. The guy seemed like he was like in good faith or honest or whatever. It just at first glance, it seemed like it to me. I mean, he's a full-blown QAnoner without a doubt. It just seemed like he was in good faith. Okay, let's continue with Jackson LaMayer. God, I feel like I'm off center. Really annoying. All right.
We didn't bow then.
Before I continue, let me reset the cameras just so that I have an editing marker. Okay. That'll do. Okay, let's keep listening.
We didn't bow then. We will not bow now. We've made up our minds. Well, it's just 30 days. Don't touch the church of the Lord Jesus Christ.
You don't have to cancel all church services. Nobody ever asked that of you. We just asked for you to go to Zoom meetings temporarily for 30 days so that you could actually literally save people's lives, prevent them from dying. That is the request. You can't do something so simple and basic and straightforward and kind to your fellow man as going on Zoom to save people's lives for 30 days. Going on Zoom for 30 days is all we were asking. Can't even do that.
You touch the church, you are a dead man walking, because God loves his church. And this church will stay open. You can mark my word.
Once again, it was just a point of persecution. He was just trying to make his flock feel like they're persecuted so that he could whip them into a blood frenzy and get them to donate or do whatever he asked, basically. That's how this stuff works, okay? So I wanted to give you a little bit of background into who Jackson LaMayer is, give you an idea of some of the things that he believes, some of the things he espoused throughout the course of the pandemic. Here's something else. Early January 2022. This is a newer one. And remember, like I said, guy's running for Congress. That's why we're talking about him. He's running for Congress. Check this out.
I'm going to do everything in my power. This is short-term goals.
Short-term goals for when he wins his election.
Everything in my power to go after Anthony Fauci. If you've been following me at all, you know I have been very strong and very bold in saying that Fauci is one of the greatest mass murderers in human history. Human history. He's up there with the big boys such as Hitler and Stalin and Mao. Fauci is a mass murderer. Fauci needs to be fired, he needs to be arrested, and he needs to be convicted of crimes against humanity. So those are three early goals that I want to tackle early on.
Wait. That was one goal, I believe, not three. But not going to poke holes, not going to go there. Let's just continue. This hate campaign against Fauci is absolutely disgusting to me. It is so incredibly wrong that they would relentlessly attack somebody who is simply a doctor trying to help people, trying to make this pandemic easier for everybody, trying to help guide our way through it. That is all Fauci was trying to do. That's it. And they have successfully, seemingly, demonized the guy to the point that he needs personal security 24/7. It's grotesque. It's wrong. And it is a direct result, at least in part, of Rand Paul and his hate campaign against Fauci. I feel so bad for Fauci. I always try to find like a silver lining behind every bad situation like this. What's the silver lining for Fauci? What is it? There is none. Dude just became the target of an absolutely unhinged, insane hate campaign against him. What is the silver lining here? There is none. And it's honestly disgusting that this guy is continuing that hate campaign and trying to get elected off of it. Off of those three goals of, firing Dr. Fauci. I guess those are the three goals. Fire him. It's grotesque. Okay. Now, here's the thing about Jackson LaMayer. Here's where it gets interesting. He's been trying to cozy up to QAnon for a long, long time. He's been trying to get close to QAnon for a while, which, in my opinion, is probably a bad idea, because this group of people, QAnon, is unhinged from reality and dangerous, genuinely dangerous. And unfortunately for Jackson LaMayer, he learned that the hard way, because on July 7th, 9:35 a.m., he had to post to Facebook something that was going on with him regarding QAnon. He's been talking about how great all of these QAnon ideas are. He's been taking endorsements from QAnon celebrities and all this stuff this entire time. This is July 7th, 2021, by the way, when he had to post this Facebook post. Well, all of that came to a head and bit him, I'm trying to not swear, and bit him in the ass. I'll just censor it out later. on July 7th when he posted this on Facebook. The ugly side of politics. Last week, I posted this pic of Eva out on the campaign trail with me, and she was so proud of her red shoes because it matched the colors of the lahmeyer for Senate gear. This is the picture. His daughter went to like one of his campaign events, and she was wearing this dress and these red shoes, right? And this is lahmeyer, like his big thing, right? His big head on this piece of fabric. So anyways, yeah, he brought his daughter to one of his campaign events. She's wearing red shoes. Well, guess what? Red shoes mean something to QAnon. Let's keep reading. It was a harmless post, but there's an individual out there who's been spreading things about me that are not true, such as I am a creation worshiper, a New World Order globalist, and more nonsensical stuff. Oh, it's nonsensical when you're the target, huh? But it's not nonsensical when Dr. Fauci's the target. Okay, that checks out. Totally. This person's also been spreading the narrative that I'm involved in CSA and CST. I guess red shoes represent P-word, according to this individual. Yes, that's correct. Actually, according to QAnon as a whole, they do. Yes. Red shoes represent that. Red shoes represent CSA according to QAnon. I honestly am surprised he didn't know that already since he's been cozying up to them so much. He probably should have researched QAnon a little more thoroughly before going out there and cozying up to them so that he would know exactly what to do and what not to do to get on their bad side. Sadly for him, he went in completely oblivious, brought his kid to an event with red shoes. That's on you, bro. That's on you. I've been in ministry for years, never any accusations whatsoever. Now all of a sudden I'm being accused of everything under the sun by one particular woman, and some people don't have enough discernment to determine right from wrong. That's QAnon, man. That's an overarching conspiracy theory, an all-encompassing conspiracy theory. That's what that is. QAnon is an all-encompassing conspiracy theory, and you should have known that it would turn on you. I honestly can't believe he didn't see this coming. Blows my mind. Truly blows my mind. So yeah, he really got it good from QAnon. They laid into him. They didn't trust him for a long time. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Okay, so this post came out July 7th, 2021, right? Now we have to talk about Michael Flynn, because Michael Flynn got himself all mixed in this lahmeyer campaign thing. I'm not sure if you guys remember Michael Flynn, but he was a general, I think a 4-star general, and he wasn't he charged with treason or something? He was charged with something really serious. I don't remember what it was, by the U.S. government, because he was acting as a foreign agent for another country while he worked for the U.S. government. It was a really, really big deal. And Obama warned Trump when coming in. He was like, something's going on with Flynn. We were in the process of investigating it. Don't trust him. He's working for a foreign country and hasn't told anybody. And what did Trump do? Instantly trusted him because Obama didn't trust him. Genius. Genius move. That's where hating your enemy or owning the libs gets you. Nonsense land every time. So, back to Michael Flynn. After Flynn was pardoned by Donald Trump for whatever it was that he got in trouble for, acting as a foreign agent, or whatever it was, I don't remember now. After getting pardoned by Donald Trump, Michael Flynn starts throwing himself into the QAnon world, making appearances on all of these QAnon podcasts, taking this oath that conspicuously sounds an awful lot like a QAnon oath. And I'm not saying that he was taking the QAnon oath or that he was trying to signal that he wanted to be a part of QAnon. I'm just saying QAnoners say this oath a lot of the time. And weirdly, out of nowhere, Michael Flynn and his family members all stand in front of a camera right when QAnon is coming up to be at its peak of popularity, And he does the oath, the same oath that QAnon members give all the time.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend.
That I will support and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So it sounds like a normal oath right now, right? We're about to get to the part where it morphs into a QAnon oath.
God. Where we go one, we go all.
Where we go one, we go all.
That's the part that makes it the QAnon oath. Not just that, but the way that the sentences are structured and everything. It all is part of QAnon. It was a QAnon oath. Don't know if maybe he found the oath online and thought, hey, I like that. That's an oath to America, and I love America, so I'm just going to say that. Maybe he had no idea it was QAnon. Who knows? I can tell you this. He sued the last organization who said that he took a QAnon oath. So I'm not saying that he did that. I'm just saying, QAnon says an oath, and then Flynn says an oath, and they sounded very similar. It's just a coincidence. Anyway, after he took that QAnon oath, he was incredibly well known in the QAnon world. Like, people were flocking to him. They were talking about him all over the place. Every appearance that he made on these podcasts and everything, the QAnon world was just going nuts over everything that he said, right? Early February 2021, he goes on this podcast to talk about some of the claims that QAnon makes, and he wanted to actually debunk some of the claims. So listen to this.
I'm just going to ask you some questions, and I want you to just tell me if it's nonsense or if there was anything to it at all. Number one, did President Trump ever sign into action the Insurrection Act?
No. Nonsense.
Nonsense. Is the United States military running the country or just is that nonsense as well?
More nonsense.
Good to hear.
More nonsense. There's no plan. There's so many people out there. Is the plan happening? We have what we have, and we have to accept the situation as it is.
So to me, what he did there, it doesn't really come across as him like denouncing or debunking QAnon. It comes across more as him trying to shape QAnon, shape the beliefs and the ideology, trying to make it more focused into something that's more usable by people in power in the movement. That's my opinion. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? That's just what I took from it. And people were talking about it after that. After his appearances, they were dissecting everything that he said. I mean, big QAnoners, like people who've written books about QAnon and stuff. They were dissecting it, trying to figure out what he meant and all of that stuff. Like the praying medic. He's a big deal in this movement. And that brings us to our last clip. Who is showing up at Jackson LaMayer's campaign events but Michael Flynn? The de facto king of QAnon himself. Whether it's self-defined or not, a lot of people in QAnon absolutely love this dude. Whether he even wants to be a part of it or not, completely irrelevant. QAnon follows him around like a puppy dog. And he decided to do an appearance at Jackson LaMayer's campaign event. He's even wearing a LaMayer shirt. So let's see what Flynn had to say at Jackson LaMayer's campaign event, early March 2022.
You read all these things, you study the history of this country, you study how it was founded. That's why the word creator is in the Constitution 4 times.
What? 4? No, it's in there 0 times, actually, now that I think about it. It's not in the Constitution at all.
Right, we are endowed by our creator.
Isn't that the Declaration of Independence? This guy was a 4-star general, wasn't he? Or 3-star or 4-star, something like that. He was real high up in government. He should know. I would be surprised if he didn't know that the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution are different. I would be deeply surprised if he didn't know that. Aside from that, doesn't Creator only show up that one time in the Declaration of Independence? Where did he get this 4 times figure? It's just propaganda. It's simply propaganda. He's trying to rile a crowd up and shape them and push them in a certain specific direction, in my opinion.
The Bill of Rights. When you look at the Bill of Rights, I want you, next time you look at the Bill of Rights, in fact, tonight when you go home, look at the Bill of Rights and lay the 10 Commandments right down next to them. Okay? Put them right next to each other. And you'll get a sense of how they developed the Bill of Rights.
No, the Bill of Rights were absolutely not based on the Bible. The Bible is antithetical to the Bill of Rights. The Bible does not support human rights. It's not about human rights. It's about loving Jesus and nothing else. So I honestly have no idea where that came from. But it gets weirder. Keep listening.
This is a war that we're in. This is a big-time spiritual war. People like Nancy Pelosi, she's a demon. You know?
They literally believe this. They literally believe, QAnon, that Nancy Pelosi is a demon. That she is a demon in human skin. But they love Kenneth Copeland. How did they get here? How did they get to this point? They got to this point, in my opinion, by cynical people at the top exploiting their gullibility. It is truly sad to see. It's truly sad to see such a large group of people fall for such a ridiculous ruse. And now they're continuing to support these candidates. Michael Flynn, one of the most respected people on the planet in the eyes of QAnoners, is campaigning for a U.S. Congressman, Jackson LaMayer, Pastor Jackson LaMayer. And for the record, here's his ballotpedia. His election is in 2022. Primary will occur June 28th, 2022. Candidate, U.S. Senate, Oklahoma elections and appointments. So it looks like he's a candidate for the U.S. Senate in Oklahoma. That's not a state representative. That's a federal representative. June 28th, 2022. If you're in Oklahoma, get out there and vote against him. For real. I'm very concerned. Anyways, all right, let me take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about our final story. Wow, I am behind on my time right now. Why televangelists seem to be convinced the Constitution was written by Jesus. So give us 30 seconds, and we will be right back. You're listening to the Telltale channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media. Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Welcome back. Okay, I'm just trying to adjust my stuff real quick. This video is not just about Robin Bullock. I know that's the guy you see on screen, but there is more. Okay, sweet. Okay. I'm going to get to the super chats in just a minute. I'm going to start the story, and then after the story, I will get to the rest of the super chats, okay? Did I reset? Yeah, I did. Okay. Next story I wanted to talk about is about something called dominionism. Now, we've got some really interesting pastors to cover. First one I want to talk about is Robin Bullock. We're going to talk about a few others, though. We're going to be talking about Kent Christmas, our old bud Kent Christmas. And we're going to be talking about somebody named David Barton. I don't think I've talked about David Barton before on the podcast before. But anyway, we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's start out with Robin Bullock. Let me remind you of who this guy is, okay? This is mid-November 2021. He was genuinely upset by the fact that, hang on. Okay, sorry. He was genuinely upset by the fact that Donald Trump lost the election. And he was upset, and he was taking it out on the people around him. Let's listen to this.
Apologize. Go ahead and apologize. Well, no!
Apologize for making a false prophecy, claiming that God told him that Donald Trump was going to be president again in 2020. And I agree, yeah, he should apologize for that.
No! How about that? Just so you can hear me again. No! Because you are wrong.
Oh, Donald Trump is president? Is that what you're saying? Donald Trump is president? Okay.
If this had no meaning to it and no prophet standing speaking today was, if they were all wrong, why?
They were, as a matter of fact, all wrong. The prophets said Trump was going to be president in 2020. They said they even saw Trump in the spirit sitting in the White House as president. They were, say it with me, wrong.
All wrong. Why don't it go away?
Because you messed up and said something that you can't take back, and now you have to harp on it for the rest of your life. That's why it's not going away.
How come it hasn't ever faded away? How come it's still a fight over?
It's only a fight in your mind and nowhere else.
Over that election. If it was wrong and it wasn't true, then why are we still debating all of this? Folks.
Nobody's debating this but you, Robin Bullock.
Folks, it would have already passed. You keep your doctrines. You keep your doctrines, but I'll tell you what, you are going to answer for trying to regulate the Lord's prophets.
I bet.
You with your big educations. You're going to answer for trying to regulate a prophet of the Lord.
Yeah, so that's Robin Bullock. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a refresher of who we're talking about before we watch the next clip. Hang on, let me find the next one. Where is it? It's, yeah, okay, here we go. So this is early March 2022 when this one came out. It's brand new. He had something really weird to say recently. Listen to this.
We are the only constitution in history of any nation that has never changed.
What? Have you never heard of constitutional amendments? The Constitution changes all the time. I mean, how many amendments do we have? 26 or something? Let's see. I'm sorry, 27. Yeah, there's 27 constitutional amendments. What are you talking about? The Constitution has changed 27 times since it was written.
Others have had multiple constitutions. They've had multiple overthrows.
Yeah, but America is historically not very old. It's only a few hundred years old. Compared to Britain and other countries out there, it's still kind of a baby.
But not this nation. It's because this nation's constitution was written from the Word of God.
What? What is he talking about? Written from the Word of God? Where did that come from? No, it wasn't. The Constitution was not written from the Word of God by any stretch of the imagination. Let me lay this down for you. The First Amendment contradicts the First Commandment. The First Amendment is freedom of speech. You're allowed to say anything you want without fear of being jailed, basically. That's the idea behind the First Amendment, right? The First Commandment is, yeah. Here's the First Commandment. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's an indirect violation of freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Not to mention the Establishment Clause and all that stuff. If you want the Constitution to be more in line with the Bible, the first thing you have to do is erase the Constitution completely and start from scratch, basically.
It was written on the Bible's foundations. Everything about it.
No, it was not.
Everything about it. We get our 3 branches of government from the Bible. We get everything we know from the Scripture.
What? What is he talking about? Seriously, get the 3 branches of government from the Bible? What? No, we don't. The only government that should exist, according to the Bible, is a theocracy. God is the head of the government, and that's all there is to it. There is no 3 branches of government in the Bible. Not to my knowledge. I mean, if I'm wrong on this, somebody please correct me in the comments. I'll pin it to the top. I don't know what he is talking about here. But something you'll come to learn about Robin Bullock and some of the other people I talk about is logic is irrelevant. Logic doesn't even play into it. It doesn't matter. What matters is pushing these bizarre ideas down people's throats. This guy's a QAnoner too, by the way.
From the Scripture. We get the separation of powers from the Scripture. We get everything you know of in our Constitution from the Scripture.
No.
And it was laid that way on purpose.
No. Absolute and complete nonsense. There's a point I'm getting at with this. Let's watch this next set of clips. This one is Kent Christmas. He had something interesting to say about this subject too. Hang on. Let me find it. I'm actually going to skip ahead. Okay. This next one's Kent Christmas. He had something interesting to say about this too. Check this out.
Years ago, there was a man that got up in Congress and he began to attack the word of the Lord. This is historically correct.
Okay, then you should be able to give us a name, right? For the record, there is no evidence of this happening, or I haven't seen any evidence, and I've looked around for it, and nobody else that I know of has seen the evidence for this. He can sit here and say this is historically correct all he wants, but he's providing us with no evidence, and I couldn't find any when I looked, so take that for what you will. I don't believe this story at all. I'm willing to be proven otherwise, though.
He was arrested. It went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court found him guilty and said, when you attack the Word of God, you are attacking Christianity. And when you attack Christianity, you're attacking Jesus Christ, who is the foundation of our nation. And they put him in prison or in jail for 3 months.
Okay, like I said, no evidence for this. I don't know who he would be talking about or what happened, but that is in direct violation of the First Amendment. We are allowed to express ourselves and say what we want as long as we aren't directly inciting violence. That's always been the rule. I mean, when was the First Amendment written? Yeah, the First Amendment was written in December 15th, 1791, so it must have been before that, if it happened at all. But like I said, no evidence for it. The point here is that these pastors, Kent Christmas so far and Robin Bullock, that's 2, are obsessed with something called dominionism. I don't know if you guys have heard this term before. Dominionism, let me just, hang on. Let me just pull something up for you guys real quick. Oops, wrong mouse. Okay. Hang on, I'm just looking. Yeah, okay, here we go. Got it. All right. Let me blow it up a little bit bigger so you guys can see better. Okay, so, yeah. So dominionism is this idea that basically the Bible should replace the Constitution, pretty much. There are a number of different things that, God, what's the term I'm looking for here? There are a number of qualifiers that a religion or an ideology has to meet to be a dominionist belief system, basically. So let's read them. Dominionists celebrate Christian nationalism. in that they believe the U.S. once was and should once again be a Christian nation. In this way, they deny the Enlightenment roots of American democracy. Number 2, dominionists promote religious supremacy insofar as they generally do not respect the equality of other religions or even other versions of Christianity. And number 3, dominionists endorse theocratic visions insofar as they believe that the Ten Commandments or biblical law should be the foundation of American law, and that the U.S. Constitution should be seen as a vehicle for implementing biblical principles. What we're dealing with here are people called dominionists. They believe that we should effectively replace the Constitution with the Bible, with the Ten Commandments. That's the type of person that we're dealing with in these pastors. Incredibly concerning. There's this guy named David Barton, who fancies himself a constitutional historian or a scholar of sorts. He's not. He doesn't have any degrees that are not honorary degrees, from my understanding. Once again, willing to be corrected on that point if I'm incorrect. I believe that his only degrees are honorary. He doesn't really like hearing that, though. He tried to disprove it, but failed miserably in a recent clip. Anyway, that's irrelevant. So let me introduce you to David. David Barton. Late January 2021, I believe he went on the Andrew Womack TV show, and he had some interesting things to say. Listen to this guy.
We're getting attacked because you love Trump and you're a cult for Trump. What happens is you cannot back away from engaging in the debate. This is where you run to the roar. And if they want to call me a homophobe, I say, oh, so you're a heterophobe, are you? Just turn it back in the other direction. And so,
yeah, this is actually a propaganda technique that's closely linked to the logical fallacy called the tu quoque logical fallacy. Fallacies and propaganda techniques are really similar to each other. They're closely linked. There's a lot of the time there's a logical fallacy. There's a propaganda technique that goes along with a logical fallacy. Not all the time, but they are very closely linked. Propagandists like to exploit logical fallacies and use them against people. So what he's using here is something called the tu quoque logical fallacy, also known as the know you fallacy. Blame other people and say it's them that's doing it, not you. They're the perpetrators. They're the evildoers, not you. Just flip it around on them. I'm not sure what the accompanying propaganda technique's name would be for the tu quoque logical fallacy, but that's what he's doing here. He's just flipping it around and blaming other people for his wrongdoings, pretty much.
so you've got this bias against heterosexual people. You can't disengage from the debate just because they're being mean or just because they're saying things about you. We're getting attacked.
Yeah, so anyway, that's David Barton. I just wanted to introduce you to him because, as I said, he fancies himself a constitutional scholar, a constitutional historian or whatever, though he has some really bizarre views, completely ahistorical beliefs about the Constitution and about the Bible and all of this other stuff. Like, he's completely off base with all of this. But it's really interesting to listen to. Let me just lay this out for you. We've talked about Kent Christmas and Robin Bullock being full-blown dominionists and basically trying to replace the Constitution with the Bible at this point, right? They are by no means the only ones trying to do that. David Barton seems to believe that that's where we're headed, or those were the original roots. The Bible originally was effectively the Constitution, and we just need to revert it back to that. Listen to this clip, mid-October 2021.
The northern states were very anti-slavery because they were very Bible-oriented. The southern states were very Christian-professing, but they didn't know much about the Bible, and they didn't read it much. They just professed to be Christians.
Obviously, the guy has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to historical events. As a matter of fact, the South used the Bible, used different Bible verses to bolster their pro-slavery position. They used the Bible to say, look, God endorses slavery. This is what God wants. And, you know, I can kind of see that position. That's an indictment of the Bible in my position. That's an indictment of the Bible in my opinion. Not an endorsement of slavery, but an indictment of the Bible. The Bible is morally wrong for endorsing slavery. But the people in the South during the Civil War, they got the wrong message from it, sadly. So that's who David Barton is. He likes to change things around and warp it and make it seem like it's something completely different than it is, if it'll suit his narrative. Now listen to this one, early February 2022.
See, God has a lot to say about economics. You know that God talks about what we call the capital gains tax? The Bible also talks about things like the estate tax, the inheritance tax. It talks about progressive taxes, it talks about flat taxes.
See, this is what's interesting to me. The Bible was, economics as a field was nowhere near as complex and advanced as it is today. Not even close. I mean, we've got so many more people on planet Earth at this point, and the economies of each country are so completely interconnected with each other, and it's all just so much more complex. The Bible did not talk about these issues. I'll tell you what's happening. David Barton is retroactively going back and looking in the Bible and seeing how the Bible might have been about to touch on this subject, but this is something that these people didn't understand. It was entirely too advanced for their society, but they were so close. If they had just known a little bit more about how economics works, which there's no way for them to do since this field didn't exist in its current form at the time, if they were just that much more knowledgeable about economics, they may have touched on these issues. But they didn't, because they weren't more knowledgeable about economics or any of these issues, like David Barton seems to be implying here. So no, the Bible did not touch on these subjects.
This talks about capitation taxes. The Bible has so much on economics. It's interesting, even as Jesus and
he's acting like the Bible is like an economics book. It's ridiculous.
And Peter were talking, and Jesus said, Peter, he said, tell me, who pays taxes, the children or the foreigners? And Peter said, oh, that's easy. Children don't pay taxes. It's the foreigners that pay taxes. Really? Yeah, see, that's why in early America, you didn't tax the citizens. There was no direct taxes. We had to alter the Constitution to be able to tax you directly because we had all...
You see where he slipped that in just now? Did you see that? He just slipped it in real smooth. He said we had to alter the Constitution so that we could tax other people and not just foreigners. The implication being the Constitution was pretty much the Ten Commandments. It was all based on the Bible originally. That's the implication. He thought he would slip it in under your nose, you wouldn't even notice. That's just not the case, man. I'm sorry. That's not how it works. That's not what happened. The Bible was not the foundation for the Constitution. It's nonsense.
Tax you directly because we had all the taxes on the foreigners. We had all the tariffs and all the different ways of taxing the things that came from the outside, not the inside. Well, that was...
Yeah, so his goal, Robin Bullock's goal, Kent Christmas's goal, is to change the Constitution or abolish it entirely and replace it with the Ten Commandments. No joke. That's their goal. Not just their goal, though. You know who else's goal it is? Listen to this clip from Michael Flynn, campaigning for Jackson LaMayor, early March 2022. This is a QAnon event, basically.
You read all these things, you study the history of this country, you study how it was founded. That's why the word creator is in the Constitution 4 times.
No. It's in the Declaration of Independence 1 time, to my knowledge. Not the Constitution. It's in the Constitution a total of 0 times. This is a 4-star general, I think. Let me just check that to be sure. I believe he's a 4-star. He's a lieutenant general. Yeah, he's a 4-star general. Yeah. This is a 4-star general. Are you telling me he doesn't know the difference between the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence? I'm having a hard time believing it, man. I'm having a hard time believing that he doesn't know exactly what he's saying and doing right now.
Constitution 4 times. Right? We are endowed by our Creator.
That's the Declaration of Independence.
The Bill of Rights. When you look at the Bill of Rights, I want you, next time you look at the Bill of Rights, in fact, tonight when you go home, look at the Bill of Rights and lay the 10 Commandments right down next to them. Okay? Put them right next to each other. And you'll get a...
Yeah, because I've got a set of the Bill of Rights and a set of the 10 Commandments just sitting around my house. I had to buy a Bible for a skit I did in a video recently.
And you'll get a sense of how they developed the Bill of Rights.
No, that is not how they developed the Bill of Rights. The Bible is anti-freedom in most cases. The Bible is in opposition to human rights. The Bible doesn't want you to have an earthly government. The Bible wants a dictatorship run by a dictatorship that ostensibly is run by a theocracy. They want a dictator who is only answerable to God, basically. That's how the government is. That's the government that the Bible really encourages in people. And the 10 Commandments are nonsense from beginning to end. All of them. They are anti-free speech. They are anti-everything that the Bill of Rights stand for. The Bible is not a good basis for law in the United States. And the fact that these dominionists, these Christian extremists, are trying to force us into a new era where the Constitution is replaced with the 10 Commandments should concern the hell out of you. It concerns the hell out of me. We should absolutely be keeping an eye on this and doing everything that we can to push back when we hear dominionists in positions of power trying to force us to switch over to the 10 Commandments. That is concerning. Anyway, all right, I'll tell you what. That's the last story. Let me reset my cameras. I'm going to take some super chats, and then we're moving over to Twitch, okay? All right, let's take a look at the super chats here. See what we got. Oh, we switch over to Twitch in a minute, and then we're going to listen to some voicemails. My link to Brewer didn't work. Oh, thanks for telling me. That's weird. Well, it's on my Twitter. Just check my Twitter. I tweeted the link out before. Just go through my tweets. Where was I? Okay, I Heart Dogs. Thank you so much for the $10. Tri-Cities Washington Community Watch. Again, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Ken Panda, I know I said do it, but only go if you're comfortable. I don't know how much good it'll be, but we'll be there. Oh, I appreciate it. Every single person counts, especially when it comes to Twitch. I need an average of 70 viewers right now, and I'm at an average of 43. So every viewer counts. Don't let me make you think it doesn't matter. It absolutely does. Every person counts, but I don't want you to feel pressured to do something that you don't want to do. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. Brandon Kittle, if he is in good faith, ask him what subject he wants to discuss and tell him the one piece of evidence you want him to provide for the debate to have substance. Yeah, I could do that. He's upset that I called him a QAnoner, which he is. I'm sorry. He is, straight up. I know that bothers him, but if it bothered him, then he should distance himself from QAnon and denounce some of those ideas. I don't care who he hangs out with. Your friends are your friends, whatever. But if you're spreading QAnon ideas, I mean, you should see the comment section in there. It's all QAnon members, honestly. So, Anyway, let's see. Shante Townsell, he's trying to set you up. If you go, be prepared. Yeah, I don't like debates, honestly. It's not really a format that fits me at all. I prefer, you know, breaking things down, researching it thoroughly, and then talking to people in a controlled setting where I can bring the research up, if possible. So I'm not really sure I want to. I'm still thinking about it. Brendan Kittle, also, if you do debate a QAnoner, I'd highly recommend watching Innuendo Studios' Alt-Right Handbook. It's a very well done debate and ethics video on engaging the alt-right in debate. Okay, interesting. I may check that out. Let me write that down. Innuendo Studios' Alt-Right Handbook. Give me a second here. All right. I got it. I'll take a look at that for sure. Thanks for the recommendation. You don't know me. Hey, Owen, longtime fan here. Not much, but I'm glad to show my support. I work a physically demanding job 9 hours a day. Your show helps me relax. Well, I'm glad I could help. I appreciate that. And that is a lot. It's a lot to me. It's a lot that anybody would take their hard-earned money and donate it. I really do deeply appreciate it very much. So thank you. And I'm glad you like my stuff. Hang on. Let me actually switch cameras. Here we go. A Christian theocracy will overturn the Bill of Rights. Godless blessings. Exactly. But they don't seem to get that. That's not clicking in their heads. Or it is clicking, and that's exactly what they want. One or the other. I can't tell. I don't know who's a cynic and who's honest here. It's hard to tell. Michael Flynn strikes me as a cynic. I think he knows exactly what he's saying and doing is bullshit. Zeta Hugla, American Redoubt, no idea what it means. I don't understand the context for that, but I agree. I appreciate the super chat. Let's see here. Mr. QTube, first name Fa. I guess if you really stretched it, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit could be 3 branches of government. That's a stretch because the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit don't administrate over different things in that way. It's just nonsense, honestly. But you're right. You're probably correct in what you're saying. I would be willing to bet that that's the angle that they take with it. I think you're probably correct. Brandon Kramer, I'm late tonight, so I'm starving from the start, but wanted to say that I dig the new intro. Well, thank you. I like it too. I thought it was really good. I had somebody make it for me, and I like it a lot. Godless Blessings, The Founding Myth, Why Christian Nationalism is Un-American by Andrew Seidel. Yeah, or Seidel, sorry, Andrew Seidel. Yes, he's really good. He works for FFRF, I think, or worked, I'm not sure. Awesome dude. And yeah, I would definitely recommend the book, for sure. Godless Blessings, 10 Commandments versus the U.S. Constitution, page 160, The Founding Myth. I think that's a callback to Seidel's book again. Yeah, it's definitely worth the read for sure. All that jazz, you'd be good at debating because you're a measured person who's not easily baited. That's true. But I don't think I'd be any good at it, honestly. I do try to be measured, and I try not to lose my cool, and I try to stay focused. But some people will like force you to go off track, whether you want to go off track or not, and that can be a challenge. Chandler Slesiak, hearing you wish me luck during my time of depression means a lot to me. I wouldn't really mean that. Well, I'm glad. Hopefully you get better soon. I know exactly what that's like, and it's not pleasant, so good luck. Anyway, I'll tell you what, guys. I'm switching to Twitch. I see Zada Hugla just posted a link. I appreciate that, Zada Hugla. I'm going to go into my outro. And while I am doing the outro, I'm going to start streaming to Twitch simultaneously. So once again, I appreciate you guys coming, giving this a listen. Thank you guys so much for all the super chats. I really appreciate that. Meet me over on Twitch, okay? Because I got more. There's more podcasts to watch here. So go over to Twitch with me and listen to some voicemails and listen to me talk about stuff. And I can start swearing again once I switch to Twitch. So meet me over there if you want to hear some swearing, okay? Thank you guys for coming, and I'll see you over on Twitch. If you like what I do and you want to make sure I can continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, you can support me on Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. I sell all kinds of shirts and stickers and stuff on there. Second, you can support me by checking out my Etsy store. I sell 3D printed stands for every system, from the original Nintendo to the Xbox One. And finally, if you want to support me in other ways, you can check me out on my other channels. I have the podcast channel, which is where I talk about whatever's on my mind. Politics, social issues, whatever. You can also find it everywhere podcasts can be found. Or you can check out the videos on my main channel, where I focus on destructive cults. As it is with most channels these days, I rely on the support of viewers like you to keep my channel alive, so sharing my work is extremely helpful. Anyways, check me out in all those places if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys. Welcome back. I'm waiting for the YouTube stream to end, and then I'm going to hit the end stream button. Give me a second here. And it is over. End.